Great American Landowner. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 149, Space and the Crying Man. After finishing the call, Zhou wanted to lie down with Zhou for a while, but thought for a moment that if he overslept, Zhou would be hungry at night. Thinking of this, he decided not to go to bed. Apparently, he forgot that he had a nanny downstairs, so he could just tell her about it. However, Zhou didn't think about this and went directly into the space, ready to have a good rest inside, soak in the river of vitality, and recover his tired body. After closing the door, Zhou entered the space from the bathroom, called a few little goblins, and opened a visual window for them. He asked them to take turns watching Shan and call him as soon as she woke up. Now he just wanted to sleep in the river of vitality. In the space, on the inner circle of land that was glittering with light, there grew a towering tree, which was taller than the top, and its branches and leaves were spread all over it, like a big umbrella. Under the tree was a river that had no beginning or end, but was always flowing. This was the river of vitality named by Zhou. Zhou ran a few steps and jumped in with a splash. After sinking in the river for a while, Zhou floated up. His mind was turning. Zhou sank here, leaving an invisible air channel connecting Zhou's nostrils and mouth. It not only helps Zhou breathe, but also prevents water from filling in. Although I don't know why, Zhou will be fine, even if he is in the water. But that feeling is strange and uncomfortable. After experiencing it once, Zhou swore that he would never want to do it again. The space still looks leisurely. The little fairies on duty are doing their own work. The little fairies who have nothing to do are either bored and dazed under the mother tree, or they are holding their share of wine and drinking it drop by drop, or they are playing with plants, trying to do something fun. Zhou once thought about these little things. Would they be bored staying in the space all the time? Would they want to go out and see the world? As a result, Zhou asked, and all the little fairies shook their heads and said that, as long as they were with the mother tree, they would never leave the space covered by the mother tree. And they also said that they were happiest only by the mother tree. Of course, it would be even better if they could drink more wine. This opinion was directly ignored by Zhou. It was not that the wine supply was not enough. If the supply was released, the little fairies would all get drunk. Who would take care of the plants in the space, and who would take care of the balance in the space? Zhou usually went in and out, and he didn't know how many bacteria and insects he brought. If there were no little fairies to do the scavenger, would Zhou have to do these jobs himself? Although he could do it, he had to watch it every day, and in the case of time difference, Zhou really didn't want to be so troublesome. And he also had a little selfishness, that is, things are precious because they are rare, and only when there is a fixed amount of wine can the little fairies have motivation. In this way, in addition to being able to watch the space for Zhou and be a gardener, he could also do some private work for him. After giving them rewards, Zhou no longer felt that he was exploiting people and making them slaves. Although he was doing this, he made some small adjustments that would make him feel better. So, Zhou brought the little fairies into the era of property privatization. Compared with their previous slave era, they had made much progress. The little fairies felt so happy that they could save some wine to drink. Now Zhou divided the wine he brought in into different grades, and the little fairies in the space also used wine tickets. Zhou was happy for several days because of this. This was a great thing. The exploitation continued, but the name was changed. The little fairies were more energetic. Zhou didn't know how long he had slept. He only heard a little fairy flying over his head and calling him, so he woke up, slowly stood up in the river, without a drop of water on his face, slowly opened his eyes, stretched his body, and snapped his body several times. It feels good. My whole body feels like new, full of energy now. Master, I have something to report. Yes, you can say it. I observe that Shan seems to be waking up soon. The little fairy flapped his wings in the air, knelt on one knee, and said to Zhao Jixi with his hands up in a serious face, "Yes, I know, you retreat and receive the reward." Zhao Jixi waved his hand domineeringly, and he didn't realize that at this time, the little brother under him also trembled, which was a bit vulgar and against customs. "Yes." Zhao Jixi also looked down and said, "Haha, it seems that you also think my movements are domineering, and you really want to learn. I won't teach you, you just need to go straight to Huanglang." Sure enough, she is still a bitch. After putting on the new clothes in the space, Zhao Jixi left the space, but he had been thinking about a question. Should I ask the little fairies to wash my clothes? With the green light sterilization, my clothes will be clean. Well, it makes sense. Let's try it next time. After coming out, Zhao Jixi saw Xianshan on the bed, as if she was about to get up. She had already started to wipe her eyes, and then she started to call her mother. "Mom, I want to pee. Hurry up, I can't hold it. Oh my god, hold it, my bed, my little ancestor." After shouting, Zhao Jixi ran over quickly and picked up the little guy. At this time, the little guy was still a little sleepy and had no strength in his body. Zhao Jixi carried her to the bathroom, took off his pants, and bloosh. Then it was like a waterfall plunging 3,000 feet, and Zhao Jixi had a miserable look on his face. It's all her own fault. Why did I ask her to do that in the first place? Now I have to hold her poop and pee. What kind of thing is this? Zhao Jixi was about to put her down when the little one cried, "Wipe it, uncle hasn't wiped it yet." Mommy said to use a wet wipe once, and a tissue once, and it won't itch in the future. So Zhao Jixi picked up a stack of tissues tremblingly. "Don't think of me, Zhao Jixi, a tall and strong man, a tall and strong man. I've ruined it for you." Although it wasn't the first time for Zhao Jixi, every time he did it, tears welled up in his heart. He was so focused on having fun with the child that he didn't think about holding a child poop and pee. Looking at Xianshan, who had already woken up, Zhao Jixi's eyes were extremely complicated. "I'm just rehearsing. It will happen sooner or later. Anyway, it will happen sooner or later. It's good to practice now." "But, I'm a 7-foot tall man, a real man, a real man. I want to defy the heavens. I want to talk nonsense. I want to hire a nanny." Chapter 150 Speechless. Zhou Yao, don't save on recommendations. I have them every day anyway, so I can't waste them. So throw them at me. After making up his mind to hire a nanny, Zhao Jixi calmed down. There are already 2 nannies at home, but it's obviously not enough now. We need a nanny who can take care of Xianshan. However, we don't need to hire a professional for this kind of people. After all, I don't plan to let this person work for a long time, and Zhou Xianshan can't stay that long. And we have to consider that it's best to have someone who can speak a little Chinese, so that he can communicate with Xianshan and help Zhou Xianshan learn English. What a child learns at this stage is very related to the people around him, and it's not difficult to learn English now. You will learn to speak it slowly and silently. It can also be regarded as laying a good foundation for her. If she goes to school in China in the future, she can go to an international school. It will be easier to get along with someone who speaks English. I have to say that this international school does a good job in cultivating children. The educational direction is aligned with Europe and the United States, and children learn in a relaxed atmosphere. In the future, there will also be a model for further study at the next level, and finally connected with European and American schools, so it is also convenient to apply for studying abroad. As for those schools in China, Zhao Jixi didn't even think about it. When he didn't have money, he treated them as treasures. Now that he has money, who would want to suffer that? Besides, Zhao Jixi didn't know whether the school was under the control of the party and the government. He knew a lot about the beastly teachers and beastly principals. Damn, those years were a big deal, and now it's uneasy to go to school. As an ivory tower school, it has been polluted to such a state that teachers accept red envelopes and so on. Whether you are paid or not, whether you study well or not, you are treated differently. And this is something that everyone knows, and it has to be said that this is a situation. Zhao Jixi didn't have any concern for the country and the people. If we don't see it, we won't be bothered. We won't recruit you, so we'll go to a more expensive school and let our children spend a clean childhood. This is why parents want their children to go to a good school. In addition to expanding their network, the most important thing is to feel at ease. The school supervision system is perfect, and the quality of students and parents must be examined. The teachers are all the best and are paid at a high salary. There will never be any corporal punishment. There are only teachers who can't teach, but no students who can't learn. Although the words are a bit arbitrary, they are not without reason. I thought too much, and what I saw on the internet in my previous life was really shocking. Zhou looked at Xianshan. The little girl was a little hungry after getting up, and now she is still eating, looking carefree. People who see it can feel purer. Uncle, why don't you eat? Are you full? Xianshan's cute voice interrupted Zhou's meditation. She smiled at Xianshan and said, "No, Uncle was thinking about something just now. I only ate so little. How could Uncle be full? Come on, Xianshan, let's see who eats faster." After that, Zhou rushed to eat. Uncle, wait for me. In the evening, Zhou took Xianshan to the swimming pool and played for a while. However, the child can't swim, and there is no swimming ring for children at home, so Zhou can only be a human speedboat. Xianshan was either riding on Zhou's back or on his neck. She kept telling him to swim faster. This is not enjoyment at all, it's just torture. Zhou complained secretly, but seeing the child happy, he didn't care. But not long after playing, the second sister called. Zhou thought, this girl just missed her daughter. After thinking about it, after answering the phone, he asked her to wait a moment. Zhou ran back to the house to get the computer and asked her to go on Penguin Video. Zhou, on the other hand, connected the hidden surveillance camera on the top of the indoor swimming pool to the computer so that they could see more carefully. "Hey, is there any sound from the second sister?" Zhou said, while looking at the computer screen with a wireless microphone in his mouth. There was a delay on the other end before the second sister spoke. "Yeah, I heard you. I heard you. Open another account now, and I'll send you a panoramic view. Just do this, and then." "Oh, okay, got it." The two videos were connected, and the little girl was very excited to see her mother on the computer. "Mom, I'm swimming at my uncle's house now. It's so fun here. Can you come over too? I miss you so much. You heartless person. You're in Ko's camp, but your heart is with Han. You eat my food and wear my clothes, and you even ask me to wipe your poop. It's only been one day, and you've betrayed me. I loved you in vain." Zhou was extremely jealous when he saw the little girl. "I have never wiped anyone's butt in my previous and next 2 lives, but I made an exception for her this time. Now that I have a mother, I have forgotten my uncle. Do you still have any conscience for treating me like this? Oh my god. Ha 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 ha. Well, it turns out that you are my daughter. You took off your uncle's sugar coating and gave the cannonballs to mom. Good job. I didn't embarrass your mom. Come on. Mom wants to love you so much, baby," the second sister said with a smug and shameless face. She was not used to Zhou at all. Even her second brother-in-law next to her felt a little embarrassed. "Uncle is very good. I like him very much." And uncle also took Xianshan on a plane and took Xianshan and aunt to eat delicious food together. The little girl expressed her attitude to Zhou and showed off to her mother, "By the way, we can still live a comfortable life without you." This sentence was what Zhou thought. "Auntie, which auntie?" The second sister not only did not hear the key point of the words, but also ignored it automatically. She was only concerned with gossiping about the auntie that Zhou introduced to Xianshan. 2 aunties, and also grandmother, uncle, aunt, and baby. We ate a lot of delicious food there. Grandmother also gave me a lot of food. Later, an aunt also gave me a lot of ice cream. The little girl is smart, unexpectedly. She has a good memory, and her speech is quite organized. She is like a little spy, and she obviously remembers some things that Zhou usually doesn't pay attention to. "Oh, Jay Chao, you took our Xianshan to pick up girls. Tell me who they were." "No, of course not. We were just having dinner with friends." "Why are you always thinking about your brother?" "Me, picking up girls? Brothers have a lot of serious things to do." "Be serious. Who is your brother? I'm your sister, the second sister. This is also the second sister. Bring the child to gain sympathy, and my Xianshan is well behaved and cute. She is simply a magic weapon for picking up girls. I was wondering, how can you, who is so troublesome, suddenly be so kind, and take our Xianshan first? Jay Chow, tell me, how are you going to compensate me as a mother for my hurt heart? It's so cold. One is my brother, the other is my daughter. Jay Chow was ridiculous. This time he was exhausted. Sister, be serious. You are almost selling your daughter to catch up with the bloody TV series. I have watched too many Hong Kong movies recently. And those northeaster ends then. What a mess. Sweet. Chapter 151. Small Animals. After joking with the second sister, Zhao Jixi talked about finding a new nanny. Zhao Jixi waited at ease. The agency sent the information, and then he selected a satisfactory person. As for the requirements, in addition to the necessary skills and moral character, of course, they must be young and not look too bad. I still have to take care of Zhou Xianshan these days. Because there was a child sleeping next to him, Zhao Jixi didn't dare to sleep too deeply, otherwise she would have to pee at night. If you don't, she will dare to pee on the bed. So I didn't feel good all night. I didn't think of it until the morning. I can go to the space to sleep first. What a good idea. If I have a child in the future, I will sleep for a while and come back to take care of the child. I'm blessed. Zhao Jixi, who had finished a punch, couldn't help but think proudly and was obviously proud of himself for thinking of this. In the morning, after having breakfast with Xianshan, Zhao Jixi waited for Atwood to come. I told him yesterday to come over today, bring 1k and say yeah back, and report the situation of the farm. Uncle, are we going to ride horses today? The little guy has been thinking about this matter, and now he obviously wants to remind Zhao Jixi not to forget it. Yes, but before going to ride horses, Uncle still has to do some work. And Uncle will show you a surprise later, okay? Oh, I see. But what is the surprise, Uncle? The surprise is that you don't know, and I won't tell you. Suddenly, Zhao Jixi smiled, and the sound of motorcycles in the distance was getting closer and closer outside the villa. From time to time, there were a few roars coming through, one after another. It was very lively. Among them was the cry of an orangutan. The sound was rapid and sharp, and you could tell that the owner of the sound was a little anxious. Come on, Xianshan, Uncle will carry you to see the surprise. You will definitely like them. Those guys are awesome. After saying that, Zhao Jixi picked up the little guy and walked quickly out the door. Yeah, look at the surprise. Look at the surprise. Zhou Xianshan sat on one of Zhao Jixi's arms, patting Zhao Jixi's head with both hands, and said happily, looking at Zhao Jixi again. He looked miserable, obviously building his happiness on Zhao Jixi's discomfort. After quietly reminding her a few words, the little guy calmed down and sat quietly on Zhao Jixi's arm. After walking to the door, Zhao Jixi saw a four-wheeled motorcycle on the road on the right, with Atwood and Saya sitting on it. The three little guys are not small now, running behind the motorcycle. At this time, the little Tibetan Mastiff has seen Zhao Jixi, and he was immediately excited. His forelegs seemed to be equipped with motors, and ran at a high speed. After dozens of days of growth, the Tibetan Mastiff's body has grown a little longer. It may have only reached Zhao Jixi's calf muscles at first, but now it can reach his knees. The hair on its body is more fluffy than before. On the top of its forehead, the position of the skull, there are long-standing hairs, lush ears, and erect manes around its neck. It is as majestic as a lion, with a black back and red legs. There are two brown and red dots above its eyes, which look like a lion-shaped Tibetan Mastiff. It looks very majestic. This is 1k. The other one has also changed its hair at this time. Its white hair is very conspicuous. It looks very similar to 1k. Zhao Jixi was a little surprised when he saw it, and knew that it was only Wanfu. The one with red hair running next to them is Wan Xiao. These three guys are growing up very fast. Although they are still a little fat, they are much better than before. In the past, they were like meatballs, and it was almost impossible to tell what kind of dog it was. Now at least they can be recognized as Tibetan Mastiffs. The three Tibetan Mastiffs ran at a speed and soon ran in front of the motorcycle. Seiya, who was sitting on the top, was so anxious that he kept patting Atwood's shoulder, urging him to go faster and faster. But he just didn't get down to run. I think he knew that with his speed, he could make do in the woods, but not on the plains. Seiya didn't change much, just grew up a little bit, and there was a little difference compared to 1K and the others. He looked the same as before, with a dark face, but he had some muscles on his body, and his chest and back were much thicker. Uncle, what are these? Zhou Xianshan looked a little scared, and said to Zhao Jixi, these are all uncle's pets. They are all very well behaved. I believe Xianshan will like to play with them. Zhao Jixi explained to her, but his voice was a little trembling, obviously excited. Zhao Jixi couldn't help but shout oh, and blew a sharp whistle again. Not long after, the Tibetan master Sul ran to Zhao Jixi's side. The little creatures all stuck out their tongues and gathered around Zhao Jixi's legs to get close to him. Zhao Jixi put Xianshan on his shoulders, squatted down and scratched this one, and touched that one. He also took advantage of the direction that Atwood couldn't see to give the Tibetan master some water of vitality in the space. Seeing them so tired from running, Zhao Jixi felt distressed and hurried to drink some water to restore their strength. You little guys, I miss you so much. Look how you have grown up one by one. It's only been a short time, and it's like you took hormones. Zhao Jixi rubbed Wan Fu's head and said, and just when he wasn't paying attention, oh, 1K, you licked my face again. Didn't I tell you not to lick it? You only remember to eat, and not to be beaten. Touching the saliva on his face, Zhao Jixi looked at 1K and yelled. But 1K didn't run away this time, wagging his happy tail and looking at Zhao Jixi pitifully. Oh my god, he's pretending to be pitiful. But before he could teach him a lesson, Seiya arrived again, using his hind legs to push forward and his front legs to land, running towards Zhao Jixi, and finally jumping up to run straight into Zhao Jixi's arms. Fortunately, Zhao Jixi was quick-eyed and quick-handed, and directly hugged it. Only then could it quack in Zhao Jixi's arms. Seeing Seiya's excitement, Zhao Jixi was also full of emotion. It was also a fate with this little guy. If Zhao Jixi hadn't been drunk, he wouldn't have met Seiya, and Seiya wouldn't have the life he has now. He might have been traded somewhere in the city. Maybe he was too scared to find food, and ended up starving to death. Or maybe he was taken to a zoo, or sent to an African reserve. I miss you so much, little guy. I didn't expect you to have grown so much meat now. You have a good future. If I slaughter you in the future, it will be of some value. Chapter 152, Farm Matters. Touched Seiyan's little black face, pinched its muscles, and looked at Atwood with satisfaction. Hey, Atwood, it seems that you have trained the little guys very well. Zhao Jixi said to Atwood, who was walking over. Atwood was very happy when he heard it, and it was obvious that Zhao Jixi's words were very useful to him. I learned some dog training from my grandfather when I was a child. It didn't seem to work when I was young. I didn't expect that I could still use it when I was old, and it was quite successful. Oh, what's going on? Zhao Jixi was a little confused when he heard this. What did old Atwood mean? Atwood smiled awkwardly. I didn't study seriously when I was young, and I didn't learn many things well. I always thought that dogs were stupid, and I didn't meet smart dogs. Until I met 1K and the others. They were smart enough to understand what I meant. Although I didn't study well, dogs are smarter, so I can still use them. Oh. Zhao Jixi also smiled and said, yes, I picked a lot of dogs in China, and spent a lot of money to find them for me. It's worth the money. Zhao Jixi can lie without changing his face now. Dogs are so good, of course they can't be said to be cheap. Not only should they be expensive, but they should be dead expensive. This is normal. Zhao Jixi just picked a few at random and put them in the space to raise them. Unexpectedly, they grew into fat balls. But this brain is nothing to say, much smarter than ordinary dogs, almost the same as the brain of a monkey. It seems that your money is well spent, boss. These guys are indeed worth the high price. Although Atwood didn't know how much Zhao Jixi spent, it must be a lot to make the rich man feel expensive. After hearing his words, Zhao Jixi smiled knowingly and looked at the three guys gently. Indeed, they are all my treasures. Then he held Xianshan and introduced them to him. The little man was still a little uncomfortable with the faces of these foreigners, but it was much better than when he just met Alan. Atwood was also very enthusiastic. He greeted Xianshan and gave her a small gift. It was a pink cowboy hat with small silver stars on it. There were also some colorful straps tied around the hat. When the little man saw this thing, he liked it very much. He hurriedly took it and politely said thank you to Atwood. Although it was in Chinese, Atwood understood these 2 words and immediately smiled and praised. After chatting for a while, he took Xianshan to get familiar with them and told them not to hurt Xianshan and to get along with her well. He also told Xianshan not to pull out their tails and whiskers. After saying this, Zhou Jixi led a group of people and the animals into the villa and sent them to the activity room to play. He and Atwood talked about the farm in a place where they could see them. This is what Zhou Jixi needs to know now. Although there is no plan yet, he has a lot of things in his mind that he wants to turn into reality. Now the number of cows in the farm is enough. In the next 2 years, our main focus is to let the cows give birth to more calves and fill the pastures in the farm as soon as possible. The extra bulls can be slaughtered one after another. Atwood took a sip of coffee and said, "Hey, boss, this coffee is great. Haha, a friend gave it to me. I still have a lot of coffee beans. You can take some back later," Zhou Jixi also said, after taking a sip. Now Atwood has also known Zhou Jixi's personality, so I didn't hesitate to say haha, thank you, boss. Well, those cows will do as you say. I don't know much either. You guys can discuss it. It's more effective than me, an outsider, thinking about it for a long time. Okay, boss. In addition, the grass in our farm is growing very well, and the plants in the planting area are also growing very well. It seems that this year's harvest will be very good. And after our cows eat these things, the meat quality has also improved a lot, especially the taste. It's very good. Atwood licked his lips, as if he missed it. Well, these are all good things. It seems that this year is a good year. Zhou Jixi also sighed in a pretentious manner, with a happy expression on his face. Then he smiled again. It seems that Atwood, you also miss the taste of the beef on the farm. Haha, a little bit. It really tastes very good, Atwood said cheerfully. Then find a bull today. I want to try how it tastes and see if it's as delicious as you said. Zhou Jixi knew that there should be some changes, but he pretended not to know. In addition, he also wanted to try what the cattle raised on this farm taste like. This. Haha. Atwood, are you feeling sorry for it? Boss, you're joking, but it's true that I feel a little bit. Atwood blushed a little, but it was someone else's property. If the boss wanted to eat it, of course he had to give it to him, but it was normal to feel a little bit reluctant in his heart. This is a good thing. You can cherish every penny of the farm. This is my greatest luck. Although it's a pity to kill the cattle now, I still want to try it. Haha. But I decided to buy a batch of cattle from you. This batch is bought to be killed. I think I will feel much better this way, Zhou Jixi said domineeringly, and knocked the old guy by the way. I can eat my things when I want to, and I can kill them when I want. You are still reluctant to part with it. To put it bluntly, I'm only giving you some face because I think you are still useful. If I don't give you a warning, you really think I'm easy to talk to? Although it is a bit of a pity, the cows on the farm have only been bought back not long ago. Even if I buy a batch now, it is just right to eat the bulls that have been raised first and then replenish new blood. The farm cannot produce blood on its own now. It will take half a year to a year for the new cows to give birth to calves. Only then can the farm's blood forming function be perfected. If the cows are born, they will be raised to give birth to calves. If the bulls are raised, the weak ones will be eliminated and killed, and the strong ones will be used as breeding bulls. Okay, boss, said Atwood. Well, kill 2 more. Give some to the employees on the ranch, and you can take some too. As for the cows, if they're gone, we can buy more. I believe we can now breed a breed of cattle with good meat quality and taste. We will definitely be able to breed more in the future. As long as our grass is still there, I believe all this won't be a difficult task. Well, hope. The California government has done a good thing this time. After the environment is managed well, we will benefit the most. Other farms around here have also improved, but not as well as the land. Chapter 153. Could it be that the vitality of my land has also radiated to the surrounding areas? Maybe, otherwise Atwood would not have said so. Obviously, he had asked everyone around him. But it's good this way. Although those bastards have gained some benefits, I'm the one who gets the most. Damn, just treat it as sending away beggars. I'll go. Do you want me to buy those too? Atwood saw Zhou fell into deep thought, and he didn't dare to disturb him. He had to pick up the coffee and drink it slowly. Well, this coffee tastes really good. It is not only refreshing, but also fragrant and smooth. It is really memorable. After thinking about it, Zhou decided to forget it. It's not worth the small profit. We are not short of that little bit. He picked up the coffee and drank a cup himself, and then said to Atwood, "How is my watermelon growing?" Zhou suddenly remembered that he gave him the second generation seeds of space watermelon and asked him to plant it. I don't know how it is growing now. At that time, Zhou also deliberately put a few more earth vitality and secretly sprinkled a lot of vitality water. Watermelon. Oh, that piece of watermelon is growing very well. It will probably be ripe in more than a month, boss. Although Atwood felt that the boss's request for watermelons was a bit ridiculous, and he planted a lot of things at once. But seeing his enthusiastic look, he did not dare to refuse. Old Bud wanted to grow fruits at the beginning, and he planted a little bit of all varieties. This matter was not executed. Later, he deliberately built an orchard. Now I heard from my son that the boss brought back a batch of fruit trees, and after grafting, they all grew very well. There will definitely be a good harvest this year. Atwood was very comforted when he heard it. And the watermelon forest that Zhou wanted to plant was also a child's play. The farm now has a lot of land, and growing watermelons is much easier than other things. After choosing a piece of land next to the planting area and spending some time laying the irrigation system, it took only 2 days to use a robot to open up the land on the open space, and that was before sowing. Because an automatic irrigation system was installed, only a few people were needed to take care of it. This made Atwood feel completely stress-free, so he quickly carried it out. Well, that's good. These watermelons are very delicious. You will definitely like them after you eat them. Zhou smiled with relief and said with a hint of mystery, "Of course, our farm is the best, and I'm looking forward to their maturity now." This old man takes good pictures of horses. After chatting with Atwood casually, the old man looked at the time and said goodbye, saying that he was going to work. Zhou saw that he was so dedicated, of course he couldn't stop his enthusiasm. He immediately sent him out and watched him leave the villa. "This job is really troublesome. It's better to leave. I've been chatting with you for a long time." After stretching, Zhou said leisurely. Seeing the little ones playing, Zhou didn't want to disturb them, so he also felt bored. So he turned on the computer to see if there was anything fun. By the way, upload some pictures he took recently. Of course, he would not be as careless as Teacher Chen and Teacher Li, and Zhou didn't take pictures of those spoils now. There are just some group photos with girls, and scenery photos of going out, etc. But they are locked in the Penguin, so only he can see them. There is also a backup in the computer. It's not just some boring things that make people sad. There are also some things they think are fun. Speaking of which, most of Zhou's former classmates and friends are now in their senior year and are going to do internships, so it's inevitable that they have some such things. And these people are also 1 or 2 years older than him, mainly because Zhou went to school earlier. So he was the youngest in the class at that time, but fortunately he was not the shortest, and he was with his cousins and Li Shuang, all of whom were brave and aggressive, so he was also infected with some of these habits, so he was not bullied because of his small size at that time. Hey, I didn't expect this little fat guy to be heartbroken. Zhou saw a post from a former classmate, and Zhou knew from the tone that this guy was heartbroken. After graduating from college, the only thing left was a breakup, except for unemployment, and this guy had both. He looked at the Penguin page again, and found that the little fat guy was still online, so Zhou sent him a shaking and smiling face. The little fat guy quickly made a crying face and said, "Brother G, how come you have time to care about me?" Fatty, I think you seem to be heartbroken, so I came to watch. How is it? Which woman escaped from the sea of suffering from you? Talk to me, and let me see it. This woman's vision is really awesome. Insightful. Oh my god. Brother G, are you hitting me down or comforting me? My heart is broken, and you're still teasing me. Another crying face came over. Well, actually, there's really nothing to hit you down with. Well, there are plenty of fish in the sea, right? I know, I'm not in love with just one flower. Recently, 3 women have dumped me, and there's not one left. I don't even have anyone to hug at night. How can I not be sad? They're even more powerful than this handsome guy of ours. I don't even have a steady girlfriend now, and I don't even know which country the one I have is flying to. The others are all flirting with them, and we haven't even kissed each other, and you, a fat man, are having 3 relationships at the same time. It's against the will of heaven. Go to hell. I had been thinking of showing off my own ambiguity, but I didn't expect to run into a beast, and he even took advantage of 3 tender bamboo shoots. I'm worse than the beast, even worse than him. I had to pay for a 3p, but it was purely a technical problem for him, so he didn't have to pay, and maybe there were upper, middle and lower levels. Zhou, who was traumatized, chatted with Fatty for a few words casually, then closed the window and stopped chatting. As a result, he failed to show off this time, and several people were still very embarrassed, which was too embarrassing. Then he looked at the messages in the group. Nowadays, everyone is working or interning, so how can they have time to chat with you in the group? I'm too busy. This sudden feeling made Zhou feel old or detached. If everyone is drunk, and I'm the only one sober, this is probably what it means. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 153, Smart Saiyan. Puff. Zhou, who was lying on the bed, couldn't help but rubbed his nose, but he was too lazy to open his eyes. But a certain hateful little hand was still playing pranks. Once, twice, and 3 times, Zhou decisively got angry. He danced on the bed and opened his eyes. At a glance, he saw Xianshan holding a doll, wearing pajamas and standing under the bed looking at him, while Seiya looked at Zhou with a look of not mine. When Zhou looked at the goose feather in its hand, it reacted and threw away the evidence of the crime. Unfortunately, the goose feather fell very slowly, still floating slowly in front of several people, slowly not falling down, and it was very eye-catching. Zhou couldn't help but raise his eyebrows, and his eyes stared at Seiya, wandering around it, thinking that he would hit it hard in that part later. Seiya was anxious and stretched out his hand to slap it down, but he didn't expect that the more he slapped it, the more it flew, and he kept quacking in anxiety. Xianshan was cheering him on from the side, her little face flushed as she shouted, "Seiya, you can do it, Seiya, come on, come on." She didn't take Zhou, the victim, seriously at all. Zhou got angry, "So Seiya, get over here." Zhou yelled angrily, scaring Seiya so much that he ran out without even looking back. Xianshan was still chasing him from behind, calling him, "Seiya, wait for me, Seiya, Seiya, I'm going." Zhou is so upset now, but no one can tell anyone. At the dinner table in the morning, Seiya was very attentive, getting Zhou this seasoning and that beef noodle. His pair of eager eyes kept staring at Zhou, and he almost softened Zhou's heart. But obviously Seiya still underestimated Zhou's narrow-mindedness. Zhou only has eyes for the food in front of him. He doesn't even look at it, and only cares about dealing with the food in front of him. He is a model of not looking sideways. Even when he was in school, he didn't pay so much attention when looking at the female teacher's butt, but this time he did it. I have to say that a narrow-minded man is really amazing. Uncle, please forgive Seiya. Look how pitiful it is. Although the little girl didn't know why Seiyan was so attentive, she knew Seiyan must want something because of his similar performance when she wanted her mother to buy a toy. The accomplice took the initiative to plead for the murderer. and the victim has to forgive him, which is impossible to think about. But if this person is Xianshan, it may not be the case. A pair of big watery eyes looked at you, full of sympathy for Saiyan, as if they were about to cry. Zhao Jixi felt that, if he didn't agree, he would be a complete villain. Okay. Since Xianshan pleaded for you, then Saiyan, I will forgive you. Zhao Jixi turned his head and said to Saya. When the little guy saw Zhao Jixi's expression, he knew that the rain had stopped and the sky was clear, and he jumped up with joy. After celebrating for a while, he came to Zhao Jixi cautiously and looked at him. Zhao Jixi knew that this thing's behavior just now was that it wanted to eat the fruits in the space. He smiled and walked to the kitchen, pretended to take out a few fruits, put them on a plate, walked over and handed it to Saya. It took the fruit with satisfaction and ate it with its breakfast. While Zhao Jixi was eating breakfast, he had already given the Tibetan master food made by the nanny to Wan Ke, Wan Xiao and Wan Fu. Zhao Jixi also added a little vitality water in it, so that they would not be in trouble if their wisdom declined. The whole family had finished their meal, so Zhao Jixi went out to visit the farm to see how much it had changed. When the vitality of the earth was first magnified, Zhao Jixi also felt some small changes, and now some time has passed. The changes in the farm should be revealed, and now is a good time to go and see it, and add some vitality water to some places. Put on a cowboy hat, put on riding boots, and dress casually. Zhou Xianshan also wore her pink cowboy hat given by Atwood, and put on long clothes and pants. However, Zhao Jixi was still a little worried, so he took out a few bracelets woven by the little fairy. Wear one on each of her limbs to prevent mosquitoes from biting her skin. After putting it on, Zhao Jixi suddenly felt that this one looked a bit like haha. Xianshan, do you think you look like Red Boy? Who is Red Boy? Xianshan looked at Zhao Jixi with a face full of doubts and curiosity. I must have met someone I don't know. It seems that the recent broadcast of the magical drama is not enthusiastic enough. He's not as famous among kids as Silly Sheep. After complaining, Zhao Jixi still had to ask the little guy to explain. Red Boy. So, he is the child of monster and another monster. Little monster? Yes, you are right. When he grew up, he separated from the family and became the king of a mountain. Later, he was beaten by his uncle for being disobedient, but we can skip this. Later, a woman came and finally put 4 or 5 of these rings on him. Zhou Xianshan first said oh, and then blurted out something that left Zhao Jixi speechless. Oh, I don't understand. Okay, it's useless to say it. Is there something wrong with my language expression ability? Uncle, let's go, let's go. Let's go horseback riding. Okay. Xianshan pulled the corner of Zhao Jixi's clothes and said anxiously. Zhao Jixi picked up the anxious little guy and said, okay, I got it, let's go. Uncle will take you to ride a horse. Yeah, Saiyan, we are going to ride horses, you should hurry up and catch up. The little girl said to Saya, who was helping Wan Fu pick the fur. Now Saya has a good relationship with these 3. Obviously, this thing is very perceptive and knows that his current fighting power is definitely not as good as those 3. So he started to make friends with several of them, relying on his brain, which is a little smarter than them. Saya successfully bribed a few of them, and now they can basically take him as the leader. The little guy is obviously very proud of this. When they just met yesterday, he showed off to Zhao Jixi. In front of him, he ordered Wan Fu to get something, and Wan Fu actually went. After getting the things, Saya jumped onto the table and took some food for Wan Fu. Obviously he also knows how to lure, or it should be said that it knows how to reward animals that work hard. Sure enough, nowadays, only those who rely on brains can be the boss. Guanping's fighting power is obviously out of date. Zhao Jixi also sighed. Chapter 155. Visiting the farm with Xianshan. After the 2 people, 1 ape and 3 Tibetan masters were ready, they walked towards the horse farm in a gorgeous manner. When Zhao Jixi went back, Zhu Feng had already moved back to the horse farm, although Zhu Feng was very reluctant. But there was no one to take care of the villa now, and there was only Zhu Feng, so it was a bit of a waste of resources to live there. However, Zhao Jixi was back, so he planned to bring Zhu Feng back as well. Just find someone to be responsible for managing these animals, so that when Zhao Jixi is not at home in the future, they don't have to board with others. Zhao Jixi has not thought of who to find for this job, but it would be best if someone who can settle down would be the best. Animals also have feelings, and it would be troublesome to replace someone, and they need to get familiar with each other. Zhao Jixi also finds it annoying, so it is also necessary to be cautious when finding such a person, and not to be careless. When they were almost at the horse farm, Zhao Jixi blew a whistle, trying to summon Zhu Feng to come over. Unfortunately, Zhao Jixi is not Zoro, and Zhu Feng is not Zhuan Feng or lightning. So he could only scream across Mulan, but couldn't jump over the railing. "Uncle, where's the horse? Why hasn't it come yet?" Xianshan asked Zhao Jixi awkwardly, because he had just vowed that the horse would come over as soon as he whistled. "I didn't expect Zhu Feng to be so useless. It's a waste of his name. Damn it, put it in the space and take good care of it someday. Try to grow your brain. It's really embarrassing for me now." Although it was a bit embarrassing, Zhao Jixi was thick-skinned and managed to get through it. The horse. It said it's still in the fence and can't get out, so it's calling us over. Do you hear the sound of a horse? Children always believe the lies of adults, and Xianshan is no exception. Xianshan listened attentively when she heard it, and her serious look was really cute. Suddenly he shouted happily, "Ah! Uncle, uncle, I heard it." Then he pulled Zhao Jixi up. Hurry up, let's rescue the big horse. You can hear how pitiful it is." Fuck, such a celebratory and happy cry was turned into a wail by you. How ugly must the cry of the wind chaser be? Zhao Jixi complained in his heart, but still smiled, and said to Xianshan, "Okay, let's go rescue the big horse now, go ahead." There were several shadows walking on the green grass, most of them were on all fours. When you get closer, you can see that they are 3 dogs and a horse, and on the horse there are 2 people riding on it. It should be a big and a small person, and a shameless gorilla, who insisted on riding on Zhao Jixi's shoulders. However, those who were ruthlessly suppressed by Zhao Jixi could only sit behind him. Xianshan was very excited about riding a horse for the first time. She insisted on grabbing the reins from Zhao Jixi. Zhao Jixi couldn't resist her, so he also let her grab a little bit. She was still shouting G from some TV show or cartoon. "Uncle, look at how fast Zhu Feng is running." Yeah. Zhao Jixi's answer was a little weak. For Zhao Jixi, who had already passed the novice stage, he obviously felt that the speed he felt was very fast at the beginning, was a little slow now, and it was still very slow. It made people lose their passion at all. The horse continued to walk, and Zhao Jixi also saw cattle, sheep and cowboys one after another. After the cowboys in the distance saw Zhao Jixi, some ran over to say hello to the boss. Some greeted Zhao Jixi from a distance, saying that they could not leave their posts without permission. The boss will not let you off the hook just because you went to say hello to him and messed up the work. So it is important to do your own thing during work. Zhao Jixi was not dissatisfied with this. They worked for him, not as slaves. As long as they did their job well and fulfilled their duties, and of course they didn't flirt with him. If anyone dared to flirt with Zhao Jixi, he would be fired. As for the others, they should just follow what was said before. The standard of a good employee is to make money for him, and these people at least meet this standard now. He greeted them politely, to show that he was close to the people, although these guys were the tail of capitalism. If his father's generation was released, they would be tried, but who told him to infiltrate the enemy's rear? Just make do with them, and try to cause more trouble to them. Zhao Jixi felt very comfortable with the life of letting the horses chase the dogs. But there was still a flaw. It would be beautiful if the gorilla Saiyan was replaced by an eagle or something. The days of holding Huang on the left and King Kang on the right were so beautiful. When he was a child reading textbooks, Zhao Jixi thought about this. I thought I could only envy the ancients, but I didn't expect that I would have the chance to realize it when I grow up. I have to say that fate plays tricks on me. I looked at Saiyan's excited little black face and then thought about the goshawk soaring in the sky. Only with comparison can we see the difference. How did it grow up like this? The head in the movie looked quite good. Strong back and strong waist, full of flesh. There were some hairs standing up on the top of the head, which made him look so handsome. Now he doesn't look like this at all. He shook his head in disappointment. It still looks like this. There's nothing I can do. It will probably be better when it grows up. But people seem to have eagles, Seika falcons and so on in novels. I have to get one anyway. We are rich, so we can't be worse than those people. I'll go ask in a few days to see if anyone sells this. As they were thinking, Zhao and the others came to the alpaca's territory. Two cowboys were watching Zhao alpacas eating grass. Seeing the boss coming and knowing that it was nothing big, they ran over to say hello. Hey, boss, are you here to see the alpacas? Hey, Maren, you've worked hard. I just brought my niece out for a stroll today and just looked around the farm. How are you guys? Zhao said. Oh, we are doing well, and the little guys are all very well behaved now. As long as it's not the estrus season, these guys are still easy to graze. But now there are quite a few ewes about to give birth, so I guess we have to pay more attention. Maren said with a relaxed look on his face. Obviously, for animals giving birth, it's not a big deal for these experienced old cowboys, and each of them is almost battle hardened. Wow, that's great. These alpacas are really awesome. Zhao was happy, especially when he heard that another baby was born. Awesome? Maren asked in doubt. Well, it means great. You don't have to mind this word. I put it together randomly. This word is great. It feels great. Oh, Zhao was happy to hear this. If someone is flattering him, he should just accept it. He won't lose anything by keeping it. Then how many alpacas can be added this year? This is the main issue that Zhao is concerned about. Chapter 156, Suli Alpaca. Boss, we now have 152 Suli alpacas, including 33 young alpacas, and the oldest alpacas are only 10 years old, so there are about 18 in total. Maren introduced the flock he was in charge of. Only so few. How many are pregnant now? Zhao was a little disappointed, but it made sense. At the beginning, Atwood also said that there were only more than 100, and now there are more than 150. Boss, there are already 85 pregnant sheep in the flock, and several are about to give birth in the near future. After a while, it is estimated that the other Suli sheep will also give birth. That means there will be dozens more. This is really great. Zhao heard that there were still dozens of pregnant sheep. As long as they all gave birth, the number of sheep in the flock will almost increase a lot. Yes, boss. As long as we continue to breed them, I believe we will be able to scale up. After all, there are very few Suli alpacas in the world, and our farm can achieve zero mortality reproduction, which is definitely the best gift from God. There are 152 now, plus the 80 in the future. The farm will have about 232. According to Atwood, a kilogram of Suli wool costs about $500, and a sheep can produce about 10 to 20 kilograms a year. Zhao counted on his fingers. This Suli alpaca is one of the gold mines. Its wool can grow continuously and grow again after being cut. This is an inexhaustible gold mine. The only regret is that this gold mine is too small. Obviously, Zhao felt very helpless about the number of Suli alpacas. If you calculate it this way, a kilogram of wool worth $500 multiplied by 10 kilograms, and then multiplied by the number of alpacas, it is about $750,000, and the annual output value of more than 150 alpacas. Oh my, this is also a stable income. Zhao calculated it himself, and immediately realized the approximate profit brought by this business. And this is still calculated based on the lowest value. If calculated based on the highest value, at least 1 million yuan can be made in a year. This may not be a lot of money for Zhao, but this is still the case when there are not many alpacas. When there are more alpacas in the future, it will be a long-term and stable business. Atwood also said that this Suli wool is a material in short supply in the clothing industry. As long as Zhao increases the quantity, there will basically be no buyers to buy it. Looking at these alpacas, Zhao was moved. As long as these things are raised well and raised more, there will be a promising future. Does Maren's alpacas consume a lot of food in a year? Boss, these things are easy to raise. Compared with other sheep and cattle, they eat a lot, which is really cost effective. I dare not say other farms, but our farm never needs to be careful about feed. Maren was a little proud of this. Haha, yes, that's good. Zhou Jixi remembered that his farm has always been able to be self-sufficient and does not need to go out to purchase feed. The farm alone is enough for these creatures to eat. It turns out that a larger land is also beneficial. They eat less than other animals, and the value they create is relatively high. It's a very cost-effective business. But it would be better if I could cut more wool a year so that the profit would be higher. Zhou Jixi was thinking wildly in his mind. Why don't I put it in the space and try it? It seems that you all write novels like this. What kind of animal will mutate when it goes in? Otherwise, I will also get two to try. Thinking of this, Zhou Jixi couldn't help but be a little tempted. If it is cultivated, it will be a new variety that will make a lot of money. But regardless of whether it can be cultivated or not, even if it is cultivated for myself, how can I explain to others at that time, where did this mutant sheep come from? It's a bit too much to say that it was picked up. Zhou Jixi touched his head. Although his idea was good, it was not realistic at all. It was really not worth taking such a risk for the money. No matter how many alpacas he cultivated to make money, it would not be as much as Zhou Jixi's current wealth. Zhou Jixi's thoughts were stuck in a dead end, and he couldn't get out of it, no matter how hard he tried. His head was a little swollen from thinking about it. Zhou Jixi simply stopped thinking about it. Since he couldn't figure it out, he would just let it go. Who knows, he might figure it out someday. Uncle, what are these? They look so cute. Xianshan asked Zhou Jixi, looking at the alpaca with her big eyes. This is an alpaca, a combination of a camel and a sheep. Zhou Jixi didn't know how to explain this thing, so he just made it up. But if it can be called an alpaca, it must be related to these two things. Oh, it sounds like it's amazing. Xianshan seemed to understand it, nodded in a very stylish way, and then said with a sigh. Zhou Jixi was really speechless about the daughter of his second sister. Why did he feel a little bit cheated? Shaking his head helplessly, Zhou Jixi said to Maren, Maren, how many other alpacas are there in our farm? Maren pondered for a moment, obviously thinking about something. Boss, I don't know too much, but it seems that there are more than 1,000. After saying that, he looked at Zhou Jixi a little nervously, obviously worried. After all, the boss asked about the farm, but you can't answer. Zhou Jixi smiled indifferently and didn't say anything. After all, he is not in charge of management, and those ordinary alpacas are not his responsibility. It is normal not to know the details. Well, I know. Thank you, Maren. You're welcome, boss. I'm glad to help you. Maren said. Uncle, can I touch them? Xianshan suddenly said to Zhou Jixi in a low voice, with a timid expression, as if she was afraid that Zhou Jixi would not agree. Zhou Jixi looked at the little girl and did not answer her first. After a pause, he said to her, for this, uncle will ask this uncle before giving you the answer. Well, uncle, ask quickly. Zhou Xianshan said a little anxiously. Zhou Jixi told Maren about this matter. Maren smiled and told Zhou Jixi that it was okay. Then he smiled at Xianshan and rode to the alpaca herd, led out an alpaca with the best temper, and led it out to him. Alpacas are not irritable, and they are also a gentle species. The means of attack is spitting, which can be said to be weak. But even so, it still has a brave heart. Although this looks a bit silly, it will rush up when spitting when something happens. Chapter 157. Those who keep company with bad people become bad. Zhou Jixi was protecting Xianshan, who was playing with the alpaca. Well, to be more precise, he was watching Xianshan playing with the alpaca. He also took out his camera to record the beautiful scene at this moment. Xianshan smiled and touched the alpaca's fur and giggled from time to time, looking very happy. Learning from those so-called photographers on TV, Zhou Jixi moved here and there. He took pictures of all the scenes he saw. Anyway, it was the old way. He took pictures first and then went back to select the pictures. The little alpaca was a little nervous and scared, especially when he looked at 1K and the others. 1K was very interested in this animal that was bigger than himself, especially when he took a step forward. The alpaca took a step back. Obviously, this guy was afraid of himself, and he proudly called Wan Wan twice, and called other brothers. The 3 Tibetan mastiffs surrounded the alpaca in several directions, to prevent it from running away. Zhao Jixi was very pleased. It seemed that Atwood had trained them well. Now at least they knew to hunt in a circle. Only by not letting them run away could they get food. This was a lesson in hunting. The alpaca was nervous and spit at them. Wan Fu was hit by the spit. Suddenly, he was nervous as hell, and barked in panic, as if he had been attacked by something very important. Seeing this, Zhao Jixi decisively took back what he had just said. It's so embarrassing. No, it's so embarrassing. At this time, the scene of the 4 animals staring at each other continued. After Wan Fu was panicked, he reacted quickly. Some time ago, they all followed Atwood in the cattle grazing area, so they had never seen alpacas. It was inevitable that they were a little panicked about this kind of spitting attack. But after reacting, they soon found that it didn't seem to hurt at all. The alpaca seemed to have no other skills. It rushed over and roared at Wan K, and then took a few steps back in fear. Wan Fu knew that this guy was just a paper tiger, so he immediately became arrogant and proud. So the fate of this alpaca was tragic. It was not only Xianshan who played with it. Even the 3 Tibetan mastiffs threatened it from time to time, asking it to let Xianshan touch it obediently. Zhao Jixi could also take pictures for her at ease at this time. After taking pictures, Xianshan was also satisfied. Zhao Jixi said a few more words to Ma Ren, and then waved goodbye to Ma Ren. Prepare to continue shopping, and have a look. The cows that have just been bought, have not been seen yet. Looking at the time, and touching his stomach, Zhao Jixi also felt a little hungry. So he asked Xianshan, are you hungry now? Xianshan was a little depressed after the excitement just now, and the various reactions of the body were also reflected at this time. After hearing what Zhao Jixi said, her stomach started to growl. She sat on the horse in front of Zhao Jixi, and she looked a little weak. She sighed tiredly, and Xianshan said crisply, I'm hungry. Uncle, let's go home to eat. I'm so hungry. Well, let's go back to eat first, and then go out for a walk in the afternoon. Yeah. Let's go back. The little girl shouted happily again, as if she had just come out. This girl, children are really fickle. Zhao Jixi shook his head speechlessly. Then he shouted loudly, okay, Zufeng, go. When they returned to the villa, the nanny had already prepared the meal, and the meals of several animals were also put in their respective bowls. The group sat at the table, and couldn't wait to start eating. Xianshan's appetite has become better and better since she came to the farm. The way she eats is also getting closer to Zhao Jixi. When he is at home, Zhao Jixi never pays attention to any etiquette. She eats whatever is comfortable for her, so she doesn't eat or sit properly. She doesn't pretend to be nice in front of outsiders, but doesn't care when she's alone. But now he regrets it a little. The little girl has been with him for a few days, and she has learned some of his bad habits without him noticing. She doesn't sit properly when eating, and even puts her feet on the chair. When she eats fast, she doesn't use chopsticks, but grabs food with her hands. Oh my god, if my second sister sees this, she will chop me up. Zhao Jixi shuddered when he thought about it. In his mind, his second sister was holding a big guandao, chasing him with a fierce face. Oh my god. Xianshan, sit down and eat quickly. Put your legs down. Don't cross them on the chair. Also, don't grab food with your hands. Do you know? There are chopsticks and forks on the table. Use them if you want to eat. Girls should be gentle. Do you understand? Zhao Jixi decided to take advantage of the limited time to change Xianshan's bad habits learned from him and make his second sister a lady like little Lali. Why? Doesn't uncle eat like this too? Xianshan looked at Zhao Jixi with a questioning look on her face. Zhao Jixi wanted to say, because I'm the uncle and you are the niece. Of course I can do it, but you certainly can't. Unfortunately, this is just a thought. As the ancients said, it is not the lack of food that is worrying, but the inequality. This is also applicable to life. If Zhao Jixi himself can do this, he can fool the children for a while, but not forever. Maybe the children will understand and develop a rebellious mentality. Hey, Zhao Jixi sighed and said slowly, well, because Xianshan is a very cute girl, the uncle is not cute. So the uncle gave up on himself and sat up casually. But Xianxun is so cute. Of course she can't learn from her uncle, don't you think? Zhao Jixi couldn't think of anything for the time being, so he could only lie. He fooled her first and let his second sister worry about the future, so he didn't care about what it meant by a moment or a lifetime. What uncle said seems to make sense, but what does self-abandonment mean? Xianxun tilted her head and looked at Zhao Jixi and said, "Fuck, you kid who cheated your father. No, you kid who cheated your uncle. You don't know, and you still think it makes sense, and you're not wrong." Zhao Jixi complained with sweat, and then looking at the innocent eyes of the little girl, Zhao Jixi could only bite the bullet and continue to explain. Self-abandonment. Self-abandonment. It is. That is. Got it. As if with a ding, Zhao Jixi suddenly had an idea in his mind. Uncle, what are you talking about? Self-abandonment. It means that an unlovable person feels that he is not lovable anymore, so he will no longer show his cuteness in front of others. That's probably what it means. In short, you have to sit down and eat properly in the future, just like your mother taught you. Otherwise, Xianxun won't be cute anymore. Zhao Jixi wiped the sweat from his forehead. Oh my god, I've already said it. Chapter 158 Leisurely and Awkward Phone Calls. I don't want it. Xianxun is the cutest. I don't want to become uncute. The little girl felt that she had gotten into the right position and looked at Zhao Jixi and said, "Is that right, uncle?" "Yeah, that's right. You should be like this in the future. Look how cute Xianxun is now," Zhao Jixi said with a smile on his face. "Really? Of course. If you don't believe me, ask 1K and the others." After saying that, Zhao Jixi turned his head and said to 1K, "1K, 1Fu, 1Xiao, do you think Xianxun is cute?" Woof. After barking, several of them jumped into the food and ate it again. Look, they all say that Xianxun is cute now. Xianxun smiled happily. Sure enough, I just think too complicated about children. 1 article, 2 coaxing, and 3 affirmation. Brother is really too smart. A meal was finally finished on time with laughter and joy. Zhao Jixi and Xianxun didn't want to move for the time being and lay on the chair at the leisure table in the front yard to digest the food. The 3 Tibetan masters also lay beside and licked each other's fur, while Seiya was still holding fruits as dessert after the meal, and he kept eating. Zhao Jixi looked at it and felt that this guy was probably stimulated by Wanfu and wanted to eat more to catch up with their tonnage. Now this thin arm and thin leg, I still have to use my brain to deal with them. I thought that when I was domineering, the 3 dogs did. But Bibi is really a little hurt in self-esteem now. Seiya didn't know that his owner was arranging it and he was eating fruits happily. From time to time, he shook his hand at Zhao Jixi, probably asking him if he wanted to eat it. Zhao Jixi looked at the traces of it. How could he eat it? Hey, another bad guy. Why did I have to take a bite before giving it? Shaking his head, Zhao Jixi couldn't help but feel ashamed of himself. It's time for me to change this bad habit. In my previous life, I was used to being single, and I was also active on the internet, so I didn't pay attention to anything. It's different now. First, it was a Saiyan, although its habit was unintentional. But the matter of Xianxun still made him a little awake. He looked at the sky with his sunglasses on and couldn't help but sigh. It seems that I need to change it. When he turned his head to look at the little girl, he found that she had fallen asleep. Xianxun also wore a pair of small sunglasses, wearing shorts and a small vest, lying on the recliner. Zhao Jixi got up and found a bath towel for her and covered her belly. Then he went back to the chair and lay down. It's really leisurely, no need to go to work, no need to punch in, no need to complete quantitative work. This is a fairy-like day. Zhao Jixi closed his eyes and fell asleep unconsciously. Under the broad blue sky, a large and a small person were lying on the rest platform in front of a villa, and there were several small animals lying next to them. This scene looked very leisurely and beautiful. The barking of the dog woof, woof, woke Zhao Jixi up. He removed the sunglasses with his right hand and touched the eye bulges in his eyes. He murmured, "What are you doing? You're disturbing my sleep." He turned to look at the culprit and saw 3 Tibetan masters shouting at the vibrating phone on the table while Seiya was curiously looking at the phone. Zhao Jixi knew what was going on. Seiya, bring the phone over here, the one that's vibrating on the table. After hearing Zhao Jixi's words, Seiya reached out and touched the phone with one finger. After it vibrated, he immediately took it back. Then he put his finger in front of his eyes and looked at it. After licking it, he found that it was fine, so he reached out to take Zhao Jixi's phone. You little guy. Zhao Jixi took the phone with a smile and tapped Seiya's head with his right hand and scolded him with a smile. Then he took out a large peach from the space and gave it to it. Seiya sat down with the peach in his hand and ate it with satisfaction. Zhao Jixi looked at his phone. This one was specially used to receive domestic calls. It was a number from Inner Mongolia. However, it was an unfamiliar number. Zhao Jixi was a little confused. Could it be He Jiang and the others? Or Sister Yu? He muttered something and picked up the phone. Hello, hello. The person on the other end of the phone was stunned for a moment, but soon spoke. Hi, Jixi, this is He Jiang. Ah. Brother He, why do you miss your brother? Haha. Zhao Jixi moved his body and pressed the switch to adjust the backrest chair to a comfortable angle. With the gentle evening breeze and the call from an old friend, he felt quite comfortable at this time. Go away, I'm not gay. He Jiang had obviously seen the movie directed by Lian, and he laughed and scolded Zhao Jixi. I'm not, but you may not be. You don't have a girlfriend at this age. I'm talking to you, kid. When we went out to play and find girls, I always went in through the front door. But you said you wanted to try something new, and you even told the girl that you wanted to go in through the back door. Your anal sex tendency is so obvious. Do you think you have that intention? He Jiang said calmly, and even turned the tables on Zhao Jixi. Oh my god, brother He, why are you talking about this? Zhao Jixi really fell for it, and he didn't know what to say at this moment. Obviously, the memory of those days was a bit absurd. At that time, he just had money, so he wanted to try everything. The play was really a bit heart-wrenching. He tried almost everything, and several brothers and drunken people also followed suit. The incident that He Jiang talked about was that Zhao Jixi was drunk and insisted on dragging He Jiang and several brothers and several women to the living room to compete. But at that time, Zhao Jixi was inexperienced, and the result was naturally lost. Zhao Jixi, under the influence of alcohol, complained about the woman's pussy and insisted that he would definitely beat them by several blocks if he tried the back door. The woman disagreed at first, but after several people's encouragement and asking for more money, the woman agreed. As a result, several people saw Zhao Jixi's anal sex in the lobby of the suite. This incident later became a laughing stock at the dinner table. Zhao Jixi was embarrassed every time he heard it. It was really because of drinking. Haha. You are shy now. You shouldn't be so high-spirited at that time. You were so arrogant that you thought you could rule the world with a stick. You didn't take us brothers seriously at all. The most annoying thing is that you lost and still refused to pay. He Jiang said with a smile, teasing his wife Zhao Jixi. Oh, my dear brother He, I surrender. I surrender. Please don't talk about this. I'm so embarrassed now. I finally forgot about it, and you're still talking about it. Zhao Jixi's face was really red, and he kept looking around, as if he was afraid that someone would hear this. Haha. He Jiang laughed heartily, and now he laughed even more happily. Chapter 159. Brother He is going to be on if you are the one. It is said that men have 3 irons, carrying guns together, studying together, and pimping together. These are all brothers and friends. The former is a part of the comrade-in-arms relationship. You must know that comrades in arms are friends who trust each other with life and death. On the battlefield, they are the ones who can use their bodies to block bullets for you. The middle one is a classmate for 10 years, growing up together from childhood to adulthood. The ancients studied hard together, and modern people are classmates who spent their youth together. The feelings and common memories are a deep bond. Of course, behind bars is also a kind of, and inside the window there are friends and enemies. A small group is a basis for wanting peace inside, so the friendship of these classmates is not shallow, plus they are all men and women. It is estimated that the relationship is gay or lesbian, which is possible. The latter is a friend who eats, drinks and has fun together, from the beginning of drinking and eating friends, fox friends and dog friends. Everyone does this kind of private things together, which makes the distance between people very close. Sometimes, there may be a feeling of being more open-minded. After all, everyone is naked, and they know each other well. How can they not be close? Moreover, according to the customs of the Celestial Empire, this matter will not only violate the law, but also be condemned by social morality. So this is a kind of joint crime, and everyone feels like they have a common secret, so everyone gets closer to each other. So Zhou Jixi actually has a good relationship with He Jiang, and the two of them are very suitable for each other. Their temperaments are also compatible, so it didn't take long for them to become good friends. So a ridiculous life began. Several brothers led Zhou Jixi astray, and they played together shamelessly for a while. It was not until Zhou Jixi met Sister Yu that the ridiculous life of several people came to an end. However, when thinking back, in addition to the embarrassment, there was more passion. He Jiang laughed at Zhou Jixi for a while on the phone. Okay, I won't laugh at you anymore. But Jixi, aren't you usually very thick-skinned? Brother he. Zhou Jixi dragged out the last syllable, and the resentment in his words could almost reach He Jiang. Haha, I was wondering how you are doing now? After going to the United States, you called us a few times, but didn't say anything. He Jiang said. Haha, I'm doing fine now. I went to Korea some time ago and just came back to the United States. I'm living a leisurely life. My life is pretty good. Zhou Jixi said something casually, without reporting all his situations. I'm envious. Although I'm also a small boss now, I have a lot of troubles. I can't be as leisurely as you. He Jiang said with a little emotion. Brother he, you are still a small boss. You are so good at pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger. How many branches have you opened in your sporting goods store now? When I went there were 3 or 4. Have you ever heard that being too humble is just pretending to be cool? Zhou Jixi said jokingly. You kid, your brother he has only this little family background, so he is a genuine small boss. How can he be a big boss? Well, let's not talk about this. You are so humble, it would be hypocritical if you continue to talk. Zhou Jixi was directly contemptuous. He Jiang was completely unlike the generous He Jiang at this time. However, Zhou Jixi didn't want to talk about this matter about money anymore. Don't do to others what you don't want to do to yourself. Zhou Jixi smiled and was afraid that someone would talk to him about money. Although he had a lot, he didn't have much cash to use now. If he bought stocks, it would be like cutting meat on him. So Zhou Jixi was now afraid that someone would know that he had a lot of money and then find an excuse to borrow from him. So after a pause, Zhou Jixi said again, Brother he, didn't you call today to reminisce with your brothers? Tell me what else is going on. Haha. I won't hide it from you. I do have something to ask you, but it's not a big deal. He Jiang said a little awkwardly, even a little shy. Yes, Zhou Jixi felt that this big man was a little shy. Oh my god, what's going on? Well, tell me. Zhou Jixi said a little strangely, but He Jiang on the other end didn't know what to say at this time, so he paused and spoke again. I'm going to a blind date. Ah. What do you mean, brother he, you're too quiet. I said, I'm going to a blind date. He Jiang said loudly. What? It's just a blind date. Why are you so loud? My ears are deafened. Zhou Jixi said in a manly voice. He Jiang regretted it after he shouted it out at this time. All the employees in his store looked over, and not only did they look at him, but they all looked at him with strange eyes. It also attracted the attention of the customers in the store. It's a blind date, but he yelled so loudly, as if he thought it was glorious. He looks quite old. Don't learn from him in the future. A customer said to another customer. That's right, Mom knows, if I go on a blind date in the future, I won't advertise it loudly at all. Did I ask you to go on a blind date? Girls should be pursued by themselves, not blind dates. Don't learn from that uncle in the future. Do you know? Look at him. He seems to be in his 30s. Yeah, got it. He Jiang was already frowning, and then said to Zhou Jixi on the phone, you asked me to yell so loudly that your ears would be damaged. Oh, haha. Zhao Jixi smiled and then said, brother he, why did you suddenly think of going on a blind date? With your current wanton heart, can you settle down? Zhao Jixi was a little skeptical about this matter, and the few of them were carefree for a while. As for the matter of love, several people are a bit heartless and almost don't care much. Now He Jiang said that he wanted to go on a blind date. Isn't that going to harm the girl? It's okay to play around at ordinary times, but if you want to marry her and become her wife, if you still go out to play in the future, wouldn't that be a bastard? Zhao Jixi quickly smiled. Brother he, you are going to harm the girl. What? I haven't had a chance yet. How can I harm her? Besides, I don't refer to just one person. I heard that there seem to be many people who are going on the same blind date. He Jiang said. Oh, there is such a thing. Can we discuss it together for a blind date? Yes, my mother signed me up, and now she is forcing me to get a girl. Huh, is it true? Who organized it? It seems to be quite interesting. Zhao Jixi was a little curious. If you are the one on Jiangshu satellite TV, He Jiang said. Chapter 160. One Stability. Jay Chou was shocked at this moment. If you are the one, isn't that a hookup show? Everyone goes on to show off, and those who like each other will choose each other. The TV station also provides food expenses. Of course, the final money for the sex room has to be paid by themselves. If the two people fall in love, the TV station will send an invitation at the end of the year, allowing you to show your sex skills to the people of the whole country. Look how powerful our TV station is. It only helps to hook up, but unexpectedly it can also make two people fall in love. So hurry up. Not only will you have sex friends, but also long-term meal tickets. Later, the United States seemed to have bought the copyright, and they made it more naked, hooking up on TV. The next time the program team provides a good place, the two will start shooting directly. Jay Chou was so excited to watch it in his previous life. Zhao Jixi said a little bit. Is it the dating show on Jiangshu TV? Yes. Jixi, you've seen it too. I don't know what's wrong with my mom. She watches this show every week and is obsessed with it. Sometimes she wishes that the boy on the stage is me. She would just drag the girl she likes back and do it with her. He Jiang said. Ah, auntie is so open-minded. Zhao Jixi was a little amazed, with a hint of something else in his tone. I said, what are you thinking about, kid? I'm talking about getting married. What the hell are you thinking about? A bunch of evil thoughts. You really should be taken to be purified. He Jiang said to Zhao Jixi unhappily. Hey, it's obviously you who didn't say it clearly. You didn't express yourself clearly in Mandarin, and you blame me. Zhao Jixi said it all in one breath, and then without giving him a chance to explain, he continued. Forget it. I'll be more generous and not bother with you. Tell me, are you really going to go on a blind date in front of the whole country? You brat, forget it. Maybe I do, but my mom is determined to force me. He Jiang said helplessly. Oh my god, brother, if you go on stage and the lights are turned off, it will be so embarrassing. In front of the whole country, you can't even hold a woman's hand. Damn it. That's so embarrassing. Zhao Jixi began to speak alarmist words. Well, not really. I'm not bad looking. He Jiang was a little hesitant when he said to Zhao Jixi, and my mom said that it doesn't matter if we go up and see if we hold hands or not. The most important thing is to show people that I'm still single now. Maybe other parents will like me. Well, it turns out that the old ones are still the best. Auntie has even thought of a way out for you, and she will not give up until she achieves her goal. Brother he, I can only wish you the best. Zhao Jixi said. Hey. He Jiang sighed and then said leisurely, actually, I have this idea now. Think about it. I'm in my 30s after all. I did have a girlfriend after I was discharged from the army, but it's a pity. There's no fate. It's been more than 10 years, and I don't lack women, but I still don't have a wife and children. I also want to find someone to settle down now. Wow, Zhao Jixi was shocked. You're not. Are you serious? In fact, it's no wonder he was surprised. When they were drinking before, several brothers said that He Jiang had been hurt by love, so he didn't talk about love later, and didn't want to get married. In the past, my girlfriend ran away with the money. Now, if we get married, it is legitimate to take half of it. There is no new premarital law at this time. Yes, I'm not young anymore. Unlike you who are still young now. You still have a long time. I can't do it. According to An's current saying, we are all in our 40s. And there are 3 unfilial acts, and the worst is not having a son. My mother keeps talking to me every day. I think it makes sense. There are only 2 brothers in my family, and my brother gave birth to 2 girls. Now my mom and dad are counting on me. Okay, you have realized it now. I will stay in the world for a few more years. I will help you with the red-faced skeletons and so on. Haha. Zhou Jixi said with a smirk. He didn't really understand the big brother's thoughts now. Although he was also a man in his 30s in his previous life, his social circle was not large. He hangs out on the internet every day, and his mind is not very mature, otherwise he wouldn't do so many bastard things. He is not very smooth in dealing with people, so he has some problems with his family and friends. But everyone has his own ideas. Since he thinks it is good to find someone to marry now, then as a brother, of course he should support him, and not take him with him, when he finds a beautiful woman, to have sex in the future. Thinking about how he will look at He Jiang's frustrated look, he couldn't help but snicker. Hey, brother, after talking for a long time, didn't you call me to tell me that you are going on a blind date? Zhou Jixi asked. Oh, of course not. This is one of the things, and the other is that you want you to record a VCR and send it to me. VCR. Zhou Jixi thought about the process in If You Are the One and knew what he meant. Oh, haha. I understand. Don't worry, I understand. I've seen it on TV. Really understand? He Jiang said with a little doubt. I understand. Don't worry, we are all saying good things. I will definitely not cheat you. Don't worry. Zhou Jixi said casually. I'll send it to you after it's recorded. You can just watch it first. Well, okay, don't do anything to me. I just want to find a wife and have a son. My mother is also looking forward to holding a grandson. The hope of the whole family depends on this. He Jiang said a little worriedly. Zhou Jixi sweated. It's only been a short time. How can he know me? Do you have to be so deceiving? Okay, I will definitely not mess around with you. I can't bear the burden you already have. You have to work hard. Zhou Jixi said a little weakly at this moment. After all, there is no fun, so of course it may not be big. After hearing Zhou Jixi say this, He Jiang was relieved at that time. The two chatted about some gossip casually and hung up each other. After chatting for a while, he said that he would go back to drink and talk again and asked Zhou Jixi to hurry up, otherwise he would have a girlfriend in the future, so he would start to cultivate himself and not go out to play. Zhou Jixi praised him as a good man. After hanging up the phone, Zhou Jixi lay down again, took out an apple from the space and ate it in big mouthfuls. He also asked the little fairies to squeeze a large bottle of juice and poured some into a cup. After eating the apple, he put in a straw and started drinking. He gulped down the drink. The fruit produced in the space was really delicious. Not only was it beautiful, but the taste was also great. When it was taken out, you could smell the fruity fragrance all around, which was very tempting. But after drinking for a while, Zhou Jixi saw a few little guys, several pairs of eyes staring at him eagerly. Their noses were still sucking, and from time to time they would stick out their tongues to lick. They looked like they were dying of greed. Haha. These guys have very sensitive noses, and they are all greedy ghosts. Zhou Jixi said to the little guys with a smile. Looking at their eager eyes, Zhou Jixi could only give them some. Okay, go in and get your own bowl. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 161, The Nanosexual Information. As soon as the voice fell, several Tibetan masters ran back to the villa happily. Saya took a cup from the side and handed it to Zhou Jixi. A small black face looked at Zhou Jixi with desire, and the little hands kept fiddling, urging Zhou Jixi to hurry up. You. Zhou Jixi nodded his head, took his small cup, picked up the big glass, poured half a cup into his cup and stopped. Saya looked at it and shouted, and pointed at Zhou Jixi with his finger. He told him to pour more, pour more. Little rascal, you poured too much. What if you spill it later? That's all. Drink it first, and pour more later. Zhou Jixi poured some more and stopped, and directly took the cup to Seiya, and then said to it. Seiya took the cup a little depressed, held it with both hands, and put it to his mouth and drank it. Wan Fu Wan Xiao and the others in the room also quickly ran to Zhou Jixi with their metal food bowls. Zhou Jixi also poured some juice into their bowls. The little guys quickly licked it with their tongues. Seiya finished drinking it quickly, and took the cup, to ask Zhou Jixi to pour some more. Zhou Jixi got a little annoyed, after pouring it a few times. He poured a bowl for each of the Tibetan mastiffs, and then directly took a big straw, inserted it into the big glass bottle, and put it on the ground for Seiya to drink. The little guy accepted everything, and had a big stomach like Zhou Jixi. I thought that every gorilla has a big belly, and it turns out that they are all gluttonous. Zhou Jixi seemed to have made a fallacy, and he felt that it made sense. Xianchen woke up, after sleeping for a while. Of course, she was also attracted by Seiya's juice. A pair of big eyes. This time Zhou Jixi didn't need her to look. He had already consciously handed her the juice that was specially left for her on the table. The little girl drank it with a smile on her face, and praised Zhou Jixi for being a good uncle from time to time. Noon was spent in this boring but leisurely time. At dinner time, no matter people or animals, they were not affected at all, and still ate a lot, and were very happy. Looking at the little girl, Zhou Jixi thought, although she has some bad habits now, she eats a lot, and is not picky about vegetables and radishes. I guess my second sister won't blame me. After dinner, Zhou Jixi took Xianchen to the activity room to play, while he took a digital video camera. He opened the stand, and placed it opposite him, and began to record the messages from friends, which were prepared for He Jiangshang Feicheng. He recorded some by himself, but thought it was not cool enough, so he also pulled 1K and Seiya and others, to record a few minutes of laughter in front of the camera. The next day, the senior housekeeper company called, and said that they had sent the information of several nanas to Zhou Jixi, asking him how many of them were satisfactory, and when the interview could be held. Zhou Jixi then remembered that he seemed to have not checked his ML recently. After a few casual words, Zhou Jixi said he would call her later. I was so busy playing that I almost forgot about it. Zhou Jixi touched his head and took the laptop, opened it and looked at the information. There were several candidates sent over. All of them were young girls. Most of them were summer interns, that is, girls who worked short term. As a senior butler company, of course they would not introduce people with no work experience to serve guests. Most of these college students have experience as nannies. Their company will select some good seedlings from these experienced nannies, and then train them for free, and then send them to serve the rich. This is a win-win situation for both parties. The girls have higher salaries and the company also makes money. Although it is not much, it can serve the rich. Of course, it is not for this kind of short-term work. People are playing the long game to catch big fish. Providing senior butler and senior assistant services is their specialty. Zhou Jixi took a look and found that there were girls from all countries. They all looked good, and there were no ugly ones. Of course, this does not mean that the company does not have them. Some guests will also have this demand. Everyone understands this. As for Zhou Jixi, of course, all these were requested by him and explained in advance. He didn't have a mistress at home, so of course he couldn't find someone too bad. There were people from North and South America, Africa, to Chinese students from Asia, and students from South Korea and Japan. Of course, Zhou Jixi thought of this, of course, not to look at nationality or anything like that. He was not that noble. He just saw them casually, and now he just wanted to compare which one was prettier and more to his taste. If she felt good, she could be transferred to a senior assistant in the future. These people have a high level of education, so there would be no problem for them to be his assistants in the future. First of all, they had to understand the Chinese language. After checking these people, almost all of them understood it. The housekeeping company had already screened them, and the ones sent here were some with different levels of Chinese language. Yes, almost all of them can. Now we just need to see how they look. Haha. Zhao Jixi continued to flip through the pages. Hey, this Indian girl looks good. A bit like Malika in that myth movie. Well, she has a good figure. Zhao Jixi sighed and continued watching. Hey, breastfeeding service. That's wonderful. I must try it when the time comes and supplement some nutrition from her. Zhao Jixi thought a little obscenely. This Chinese girl is not bad, but her breasts are not big enough. What a pity, even though we are from the same hometown. But there is nothing I can do if it is not natural. I'm sorry. Zhao Jixi shamelessly found an excuse. You are just choosing a nanny. Why do you have to consider breast size? This is nonsense. Zhao Jixi looked at a few more and roughly decided who to interview. He had already told the housekeeping company about his lower requirements, and the girls who sent their information all agreed. So Zhao Jixi just needed to see these people in person, and if he was satisfied, he could directly hire them. In fact, you can recruit people just by posting a message, but Harvey said that such people are not safe. There are senior housekeeping companies as intermediaries, and these people are guaranteed. It will be much safer to use than some people whose background you don't know. Otherwise, if they are kidnapped while taking care of the children, it would be unlucky. So spending a little money to buy peace of mind is nothing to Zhao Jixi. Zhao Jixi called the person from the housekeeping company and told him the selected people and asked him to arrange an interview with them tomorrow. The person on the other end agreed with full assurance. This is the boss of the big lawyer Harvey. If this boss is well served, the company's business will continue to flow in. The person in charge will do his job very attentively. Zio Yao, please vote, click, and collect. Everyone, please don't be polite. Chapter 162, The idea of buying a small plane. Chapter 163, The idea of buying a small plane. In his previous life, as a homeboy, Zhao Jixi, like most men, had fantasized about maids and secretaries. After coming to the United States, the nanny at home was an American aunt, and there was really no possibility of that aspect. But now it is different. He has to find a new nanny, and they are all beautiful female college students. How can he calm down? His heart, which was originally looking for a nanny, has become less pure. People will change a little when they have money, and Zhao Jixi is no exception. In the past, it was something he only heard of, but now it is in front of him. Although he has tried sex partners, threesomes, group sex, one-night stands, etc., he seems to have no maids or nannies. Zhao Jixi began to look forward to the unknown fun and excitement. This day, Zhao Jixi set off early in the morning with Xianshan, driving his F650 with the little girl sitting next to him. Zhao Jixi drove to Merst Airport, parked the car in the parking lot, and then took a rented small plane and flew directly to San Francisco. He originally wanted to drive, but when he thought about driving for 3 hours and driving for another 3 hours on the way back, Zhao Jixi decisively gave up this decision and rented a small plane instead. It didn't cost much to rent a whole day. It also saved the waiting time, and there was no need to drive for several hours. If you fly, you can reach San Francisco in half an hour. In addition to the nanny, Zhao Jixi actually wanted to go and see his own game company. Recently, Andy reported that the progress of the bad was almost ready, and the fruit swordsman could be tested. As long as everyone was satisfied after the test, it could almost be put on the market. Zhao Jixi now wanted to go and try it out, to see what the difference was from the fruit ninja in his previous life. The plane flew away from the ground and flew high into the sky. The fuselage passed through the white clouds. Zhao Jixi and Xianshan looked at the white clouds on the plane. The little girl liked this environment very much and kept pulling Zhao Jixi to talk about this and that. It would be nice to have a plane. Zhao Jixi sighed, but thought of the expensive price of private jets. He gave up the idea. He was determined not to buy a private jet 12 years ago, otherwise it would be pure loss, and the money in the stock market is still growing in it. But can I buy a small plane? Like the protagonist in the movie Johnny English, fly around in a plane, and I heard that the United States is more relaxed about airspace. Then we won't drive a sports car, but a plane. Zhao Jixi thought more and more that it made sense. I live on a farm, anyway, the place is big, I can build a small private airport and hangar. Then buy a few small sports planes and fly wherever I want. Zhao Jixi felt that if this thing could be accomplished, it would definitely be very fun. I'll ask Harvey later. But there are so many rich people in the movie who have helicopters that can fly freely in the city, so there shouldn't be any problem. I'll use airplanes as my means of transportation. Wouldn't it be much faster to travel between the city and the farm? That way, it won't be like now. It takes 3 hours to drive to San Francisco and 6 hours to go back and forth. It will take even longer to drive to Los Angeles. Zhao Jixi laughed when he thought of it. If there is no soy sauce at home in the future, I will fly a plane to get soy sauce. Don't go back and forth too fast. Haha. Zhao Jixi couldn't help laughing at the high level of fantasy. Xianshan looked at Zhao Jixi with a strange face. Uncle also draws like me, but he can suck it back. It looks really amazing. It was probably because there was no one around. Otherwise he would say my friends and I were stunned. Zhao Jixi said embarrassedly. The plane arrived at San Francisco airport soon. A pair of dad and cute kid came out. The handsome dad is not as attractive as a handsome guy to young girls. But for those married women, it is definitely a delicious meal. They can't wait to go over and touch Zhao Jixi's chest muscles while hugging the child. It would be even better if they could twist his perky butt. A bunch of women couldn't help licking their tongues. Some hot women would look at Zhao Jixi with their electric eyes from time to time. Zhao Jixi also looked at them from time to time. If there was a good looking one, he wouldn't mind communicating more with them. He passed by a young woman holding a child who had been staring at him for a long time. The two secretly touched their hands, and Zhao Jixi had a phone note in his hand. He smiled slightly, pretending to be indifferent, and put the note in his pocket. The young woman turned around and saw Zhao Jixi's action and smiled at the corner of her mouth. It seems that holding a child is indeed a privilege. Look at this romantic encounter. But why? Zhao Jixi was happy to receive the phone call, but he couldn't figure out why. Forget it, let's not think about it for now. Let's see when we are free and make an appointment. After walking a few steps, he saw Zhao Ji, so he quickened his pace and walked up to her. Hey, Sister Ji, why didn't I see you just now? You suddenly appeared. Zhao Ji smiled coldly and said in English, you were busy flirting with those hot and sexy women. Of course, you didn't see the tiny me. I even greeted you. Zhao Ji's words were full of resentment. Of course, this was not for love between men and women, but just a woman waving at this man from a distance for a long time. And this man was busy making flirtatious eyes with other women, and didn't even look at her, as if he was being polite. Any woman would complain. Zhao Jixi knew something was wrong when he heard it. No wonder I felt something was wrong just now. It was originally Sister Ji who was waving at me. Now it's terrible. I've offended this woman. Zhao Jixi certainly couldn't continue talking about this topic this time, otherwise she would be drowned by her resentment. Zhao Jixi suddenly had this idea in his mind. Change the subject immediately. Oh. Sister Ji, it's been a long time since we last met. After that, he said to Xianshan, call her auntie. This is your Aunt Zhao. She is a very nice person. She will buy delicious food for people, and she never loses her temper with people. She is famous for her truth, kindness, and beauty. How could the little girl digest so many words from Zhao Jixi? She just remembered that this auntie was nice, didn't lose her temper, and would buy food for her. But for her, these few points were enough, and it must be said that children have extraordinary understanding ability. So she called out to Zhao Ji in a sweet and crisp voice, Auntie. This immediately drew Zhao Ji's attention to Xianshan, and he rolled his eyes at Zhao Jixi. Zhao Ji smiled and greeted Xianshan, and even wanted to carry her over. At this stage, children typically follow the mother. Zhao Ji tempted her with a few words, saying that he would buy her food. Zhao Jixi thought he didn't treat her badly in normal times. Although he felt that this could divert Zhao Ji's attention, he still felt a little jealous. Chapter 163 Zhao Ji. When walking back to the car, Zhao Ji was angry and didn't help Zhao Jixi get the things. He just walked in front holding Xianshan. Zhao Jixi only glanced at her from the corner of his eye and knew that the woman was in a bad mood. Can you blame me for this? Who told you not to be hot? I didn't mean it. You have to understand men, right? Although this was nice to hear, Zhao Jixi only dared to think about it. If he really said it, who knows what methods this woman could come up with to deal with him. I guess spitting in coffee is a small matter. The cruel woman will directly add worms to your sandwich, saying that it is a protein supplement. It is said that the office white-collar workers in the previous life treated those leaders who behaved improperly in this way. Of course, there are also those who always work overtime and like to ask employees to get food or ask them to buy food. How can these people not know that women's beauty cannot be seen from their appearance? They are all born movie queens. Of course, men are not bad in this regard. Zhao Jixi did this in his previous life. When watching the hateful boss eating the food with added ingredients with gusto, he felt secretly happy. Sometimes he thought that he should not leave the company just to see this scene. It was worth it. Zhao Jixi couldn't help but smile, but when he thought of Zhao Ji's expression, his heart was a little hanging. Don't eat the things she gives you recently. He followed Zhao Ji into the car, put Xianshan on the back seat, and Zhao Jixi sat in the co-pilot seat. Looking at Zhao Ji's face, which only smiled at Xianshan, and had a black face towards himself, he wondered what this was. As expected, you shouldn't be too familiar with employees, otherwise they might take advantage of you. Well, a good man doesn't care about women. Although Zhao Jixi felt that he was a little wrong, it was not serious. Pretending to reach out from his pocket, he took out a box and handed it to Zhao Ji, who was fastening his seatbelt, and said with a smile, "Sister Ji, this is a gift I brought to you specially." Huh? Zhao Ji snorted unmoved. Zhao Jixi glanced at Zhao Ji, not caring about her attitude at all, and continued, "It's Saint Laurent opium perfume. If you don't want it, forget it. Hey, I, the boss, still care about my employees. I didn't expect." "Forget it." Zhao Jixi pretended to stretch his hand back, deliberately not looking at her. Zhao Ji had no intention of struggling at this moment, and snatched the perfume from Zhao Jixi's hand. "Humph, this little thing can barely make up for my injured heart. A stubborn woman, just take your benefits, but still say one thing and mean another." Zhao Jixi didn't argue, and said directly, "Yes, yes, yes. This is glue, it repairs your heart piece by piece. How can it be a perfume?" Zhao Jixi also echoed at the right time, looked at her, and saw that she was a little blushing, and then continued, "But glue that costs $175 per ounce is rare. But those high-grade glues cost more than that." Zhao Ji continued stubbornly, but her serious expression had faded, revealing a hint of coquettishness. Well, although it was a bit weird to say this word on her ordinary face, Zhao Jixi did have this feeling at this time. Sister Ji, don't be angry anymore. I didn't mean it. Those women are nothing but clouds. I didn't even look at them straight in the eye." Zhao Jixi said with a lick on his face. "You're just talking nonsense. Okay, I won't say much, and I can't control your lifestyle. But I still hope you'll be careful. There are many AIDS carriers in the United States." Although Zhao Ji said this, the concern in his tone could not be concealed. Although Zhao Jixi is her boss, he is also her childhood friend, a younger brother she has known since childhood. Zhao Ji was the first one to see him grow from a small asset to a wealthy man, and she also saw some changes in him during this process. She didn't know whether he had changed for the better or for the worse, and she couldn't judge. The two of them were standing at completely different positions and heights, so Zhao Ji really didn't know. But there was one thing she already knew, that is, Zhao Jixi no longer valued love, and she could discover it from the details. Zhao Jixi is now very much like the members of the fraternity in her school when she was in college. Drugs, sex, and intercourse are all available to Zhao Jixi. In Zhao Ji's opinion, Zhao Jixi is still too young, so she felt that sometimes she still had to remind him from the side. Although this might cause Zhao Jixi's disgust, she still said something very carefully, trying to say only a little bit, just to remind him slightly. But the premise is to protect herself. She is not a saint, nor a loyal minister of the ancient celestial empire. She is just a woman who wants to live a good life under the wings of Zhao Jixi. Zhao Jixi nodded in understanding, and everything was self-evident. "Haha. I understand. I know my limits. Zhao Jixi also noticed something in her heart, but knowing it was one thing, but how could she understand that she had a space and she was not afraid of viruses? As long as she didn't die and return to the space, she would definitely be saved. Zhao also nodded and didn't continue the topic. While driving on the road, Zhao suddenly looked at Zhao Jixi with a blush and said slowly, "Jess, is it inappropriate for me to use this perfume? Isn't it too ostentatious?" And with that style, Zhao Jixi was stunned for a moment, and when he saw Zhao blushing face, he remembered that opium was an aphrodisiac. The waiter introduced a lot of things at that time. It is an extraordinary crystallization of oriental sentiment, subtle floral fragrance and spice charm. It is a unique blend of warmth and coolness, and it bursts out extremely strong emotions. Its rich, fresh and unique fragrance makes people more feminine. To put it bluntly, it is a kind of perfume that is very attractive to men, and it is a bit ostentatious. After a while, Zhao Jixi said, "Haha, Sister G, just like its slogan says, one try, boldly reveal the subtle secrets of the art of female charm, arouse and protect a lady's charm, and completely reveal her true beauty." What do you want to say? Zhao asked bluntly. What Zhao Jixi said was really boring. Zhao Jixi blinked at her ambiguously. "If you feel ostentatious, you can spray a little bit when you are alone with your brother-in-law. It's very effective." Hiss. The car braked quickly. Zhao, with a flushed face, looked at Zhao Jixi and said viciously, "You are courting death. You little bastard. You are itching for trouble. You really deserve to be punished." Zhao grabbed Zhao Jixi's ear and attacked his waist with his other hand. "So, ouch. Ouch. Sister G, please show mercy. Ouch. There are children here. Please give them some face. Don't touch your face. If you get scratched, I will be so angry in the future. Little bastard. This auntie is so fierce." Xianshan thought. Chapter 164 Recruitment in Progress. Four Seasons Hotel San Francisco. This hotel is often visited by Zhou, mainly because of its service and partitions. The lobby manager quickly and enthusiastically took Zhou to the room, where he would stay for a long time. The familiar room and familiar smell made Zhou feel very comfortable. After inviting Zhao and Xianshan to sit down and rest, Zhou called the housekeeping company. The interview was arranged in the suite of the Four Seasons Hotel. Zhou just called to tell him that he could notify those people to come over. He has already arrived at the hotel. There are only 3 people selected this time. One is a Japanese girl. Of course, we have to admit that Zhou has selfish motives. Who said that Japan's pornographic culture and actresses are so famous? It is normal for Zhou to have some tricks on her now. The second person is an Indian girl, a girl full of exotic style, especially that hot body. But there is still a soft feeling. Zhou is sure that this girl has practiced yoga. It seems that India is not only producing monkeys, but also has a lot of beautiful women. If this yoga beauty can do difficult movements, life will be beautiful in the future. The third one is a white girl, a local girl in California, with a face that looks a bit like Jessica, and a bigger chest than Jessica's. Zhao Jixi was also very excited. His heart dropped. Zhao Jixi didn't know much about the family situation of these international students and locals. But he was not the kind of person who wanted to find a poor girl or a rich girl. The reality was not so bloody. Zhao Jixi asked Zhao to take Xianshan with him to interview the nanny. After all, this was chosen for the little guy. In the next 1 or 2 months, the nanny will take care of her. So it is very important whether the little girl likes it. "Uncle, what are we going to do?" Xianshan asked while sitting on Zhao Jixi's lap. "Well, we are going to find a sister now to play with Xianshan. What do you think about this?" Zhao Jixi said with a smile. Xianshan tilted her head and thought for a while, then said to Zhao Jixi, "Okay, but Xianshan still likes to play with uncle." Although Zhao Jixi was a little annoyed by children, he sometimes liked children very much. It was a strange performance, but Zhao Jixi was still very happy to hear Xianshan's words at this time. Xianshan is so good. Uncle also likes Xianshan, but uncle may have some things to deal with, so he needs to find someone to play with Xianshan. While talking, several girls had received the notice and had already rushed to the Four Seasons Hotel. They all cherished this opportunity, especially Nakayama Miko and Nahudalvi. They had heard that the employer this time was a very rich new tycoon. And this tycoon did not have an assistant yet. The company manager had told them that with their academic qualifications and education level, if this tycoon was satisfied with their services, he might choose a personal assistant from among them. This was a great opportunity for them, and they chose to graduate soon. And they all want to stay in the United States to work. Of course, they have to have a good job, otherwise they might as well go back home. This time is definitely an opportunity. The family has spent a lot of money to support their studies. They have to work as a nanny during the summer vacation. They have been working hard for so long, and they don't want to give up. The American girl eyeball didn't feel anything. She wouldn't be nervous if she did more. It's just a summer job. She had done a lot before. In order to pay for the tuition for the next semester, she also needs to work hard. But compared to the other two, she is still very calm. She was listening to music when she came. Several girls looked at each other. They looked pretty good. This was their first impression of each other. Hey, girls, come over here. I'll take you to the interview now. The supervisor of the housekeeping company clapped his hands and shouted to several people. Several people looked at each other warily and ignored each other. Originally, Nakayama Miko wanted to say hello to them, but obviously the others were not in the mood. After all, they would not see each other again after today. The girls quickly gathered around the man. The supervisor gave them a few instructions and took them to Zhou suite. Zhou, who was sitting inside, felt a little strange. Sitting in a hotel room waiting for a girl to interview. Haha, isn't it a bit of that atmosphere? He looked around the room and said, if there is a hidden rule, it will be really convenient. Once the door is closed, I can pick up my gun and get on the horse. The one I get is a foreign horse and a Japanese woman. It's really a good opportunity to show my power. But this is not the Celestial Empire. The American legal system is very comprehensive. If you want to harass female employees, they will sue you without saying anything. Of course, whether she can win is one thing. American lawyers are not very good at playing taking turns to have sex. Compared with that Lee, he is a ancestor level person. First, he ruined the girl's reputation. Then he proved that he had various reasons, and it was not intentional. Anyway, in the end, he almost either paid money to settle privately, or won the lawsuit without paying a penny. But it is certain that your reputation will be ruined. Zhou thought that it was not worth it. Unless you are really good enough to be this type. Just like the owner of the NBA Clippers, Donald Sterling. He is always happy to use a lot of US dollars to settle his sexual harassment lawsuits. I have to say that this person's behavior is really superb. But think about it. He is already over 70 years old and doesn't look good, so it is understandable to do these things. If he doesn't find something exciting, how can he have the fighting power? Zhou has a handsome face with a smile, plus he has money. If girls know that he has a good temper and is generous, I guess he won't need to go hunting in the future. There will be prey delivered to his door for him to hunt. Zhou, who was caught in Yai, drooled again. Fortunately, Xianshan reminded him this time. Zhou also saw Zhou, who was receiving him at the door. He was greeting him. It seemed that the person had arrived. Zhou nodded to her, indicating that he could arrange for someone to come in. Zhou also nodded to indicate that he understood. The first person to come in was Eyeball. Zhou's first impression was that she was quite friendly, the kind of big sister that children would like. However, her Chinese was a little unstandard, and Xianshan was a little cold towards people, so Zhou could only ask her to go back and wait. The second person to come in was Miko. As soon as Miko came in, she saw Zhou. She was a little infatuated and soon stared at Zhou. She even forgot to say hello, and it was only after Zhou coughed that she reacted. Although there was a little mistake, Zhou felt that he forgave her because he was stunned. Chapter 165 Recruitment and Phone Calls. Hello Miss Miko, don't be too nervous. I just want to ask a few questions. Actually, your job is mainly to take care of children. I hope you can also teach them English. Your resume says you can speak Chinese. Now I hope you can answer my questions in Chinese. Is there any problem? Zhao Jixi looked at Miko, and his eyes were very difficult to move away from her chest. Miko was wearing a small dress today, which looked a bit plain, but her great chest set off her unusualness. With a delicate face, small facial features and a perfect body proportion, Zhao Jixi really wanted to hug her to see what it felt like. Yes, sir, I have learned Chinese. My grandmother is from China. I like the culture of China very much. And my English is also very good. I also have a lot of experience in taking care of children. My previous employers have also written me praises. I believe I can do this job well. Although Miko was nervous, she still spoke in an orderly manner, trying her best to get this job for herself. Your information is great, but I only believe what I see. You can take my little princess to the side for a while. I will take a call and then interview the next one. Do you think it's okay? Zhao Jixi wanted to see how this Miko did, and a call came in at this time. Then Zhao Jixi said something to Xianshan. Xianshan looked at Miko and nodded to Zhao Jixi. Zhao Jixi looked at Miko and indicated that it was time to see what she could do. Miko smiled confidently. Okay sir. Then she said to Zhao Jixi's conversation. Hello, cute little friend. My name is Nakayama Miko. What's your name? Miko's words were very gentle, and she looked at the child very attractively. Xianshan was quickly attracted to her, of course not because of her breasts, but mainly because of her name. Zhao Jixi saw that Xianshan had no resistance, so he walked to the side to answer the vibrating phone. He had already turned it to vibrate when he started the interview. After answering the phone, Zhao Jixi walked to the windowsill. Hey, Mark, my friend, how come you have time to call me today? Hey, dear Jess, as your friend, can't I call you to say hello when I'm free? Mark Zuckerberg said with a sad face. Well, Mark said you have something to ask. I haven't seen you call me when you are free before. Haha, Jess, I have to say that, although your words make me a little sad, you still guess the truth. I really have something to ask you. Go ahead. Jay Chou paused. Don't talk nonsense. I remember you are not a person who likes to talk nonsense. Okay, I also feel that I'm a little unlike myself today. Mark Zuckerberg said with a self-deprecating tone. When I attended a party last time, someone knew that I had some friendship with you. So he asked me to ask you something. Well, what is it? Tell me. Do you have a lot of Apple stocks in your hands now? Mark said. He was also a little shocked about this matter. When the person told him, he didn't believe that Jay Chou had so many Apple stocks. So he was a little uncertain when asking now. Yes, Zhao Jixi admitted it readily. He believed that he had bought so many circulating stocks. As long as the people at the top were interested, they could almost check it. But now he was not worried because he had bought enough Apple stocks. Zhao Jixi had sold more than 400 million worth of Google stocks before and used some real estate to mortgage to the bank to borrow 1.5 billion US dollars in stocks. In addition to the cash given by the bank, part of the money was also used to ask the bank to help buy stocks. Even the part given to Zhao Jixi was used to buy Apple's circulating stocks on the market. I bought it, man. How many Apple stocks did you buy? Mark said while touching his numb scalp. I bought more than 10 million circulating stocks. How about it, man? My eyes are accurate. Zhao Jixi said a little proudly. Oh my god. Mark couldn't help but be surprised that this man who was younger than him actually controlled so much money. Although more than $1 billion is not a big deal for internet nowadays. It's nothing for him, a potential internet upstart, but his company is still worth tens of billions. And the stocks he holds cannot be exchanged for money, unlike Jay Chou, who now holds high quality Apple stocks and can cash out at any time. Relax, Mark. This is the most important decision I've made this century. You have to know that I'm betting my entire fortune. If I lose, I guess I can only rely on you. So Mark, don't ruin Facebook. Jay Chou joked with a smile. Jess, I have to say, you are a jerk at this time. What? Don't you think my company is more worth investing in than Apple? Obviously, Mark is a little jealous of Jay Chou for investing most of his money in Apple. He is very satisfied with this shareholder who supports him and doesn't interfere. Hey, Mark, don't be too greedy, haha. Although I also think Facebook is good, Apple still has great potential. Forget it. I won't tell you this now. Tell me, is this the reason you asked me? Zhao said. Mark was silent for a while, and then he said, Steve wants to meet you. What do you think? Steve. Zhao didn't react a little. Then he looked at the phone he was using. Damn, Steve, isn't that Jobs? Steve Paul Jobs. Zhao burst out with a swear word, and then said to Mark, Apple's CEO, Steve Paul Jobs? Yes, Jess, what do you think? Zhao was a little uneasy. This guy created a dynasty, and he changed people's living habits abruptly. He made mobile phones a necessity for some people. Even in China, his influence is profound. At that time, if you went to the street, you could almost see a bunch of people using Apple phones and tablets. Of course, there were also many knockoffs. Later, this trend developed to the point where people would buy an Apple phone, even if they didn't eat or drink. This influence is beyond words. Although Apple was once surpassed by Google because of his departure in the previous life, his achievements during his lifetime are obvious to all and are really admirable. Why does he want to see me? I'm just a shareholder? Oh my god, Jess, you are now one of the largest circulating shareholders in Apple and one of the largest individual shareholders. Mark said, feeling ridiculous. Chapter 166 Influential. Chapter 166 Impressive? Shit, Mark Zuckerberg couldn't help but swear, touched his forehead, and said to Zhao, you should know the difference between circulating shareholders and non-circulating shareholders. The increase of a company's large circulating shareholders indicates that new shareholders have intervened because they have purchased a considerable number of circulating shares. This will further reduce the circulating shares. If more investors want to intervene, they will have to buy at a higher price, thereby pushing the stock price higher. On the other hand, since this type of shareholders has lofty ambitions and will not be swayed by small profits, they will hold shares for a longer period of time. Therefore, after the stock price rises, the chips are well locked, and there is a lot of room for growth. And the reduction of large circulating shareholders indicates that some shareholders are no longer optimistic about the stock, at least in the short term, and will distribute their chips, so the stock price will fall. If no other major shareholders take over, then these chips will be dispersed to small shareholders. However, small shareholders do not have the ability to push up the stock price, and their risk resistance is not strong, and their chips are poorly locked. With the distribution of major shareholders, a large number of stocks are dispersed to retail investors. If these retail investors also follow the sales, the stock price will inevitably fall further. Mark Zuckerberg kept talking. Then he paused, drank a sip of water, and then asked Zhao, how is it? Is what I said clear? Do you understand? Okay, I think my IQ should not be that low. I understand. Obviously, I have a certain influence now. Unfortunately, this is obviously not the most important, haha. But this is only when the company is stable. If there is any problem with the company, I will add insult to injury and obviously will cause the company to suffer. Zhao said with a smile, obviously happy that he can become a member of this company that influences the world and has some influence. Yes, Steve is a very good CEO. Obviously he wants to win you over. For you, a new shareholder, it is the best surprise for him. For all the things in Apple, if he can get more support, it will definitely make it easier for him to do things. Mark analyzed for Zhao. Okay, I think I understand. Thank you, Mark. I will consider it and give you an answer after a while. He still felt a little bit about Mark telling him this. Of course, it was just a little bit. Zhao also understood that Mark was obviously trying to make friends with him. And these things, even if he didn't say it, Zhao could know from the investment team. We are friends, aren't we? Mark said with a smile. As for when Zhao talked about this matter, he didn't ask anymore. He had already got the answer, wasn't he? After all, he just helped to bring a message, and Zhao also said that he would consider it, which was enough. Haha. Yes, man, we are friends. How about going to my farm for vacation, when you are free? The scenery there is very nice. Zhao also made a friendly invitation. Really? Okay, I'll definitely go and see it, if I have a chance. The two continued to talk for a few words, chatting about Facebook, and then they hung up. when they felt it was about time. Mark is now more and more like a businessman. It has to be said that this is the nature of the Jews. Zhou Jixi was alone, looking down by the French window, not looking at the scene below. He squinted his eyes and thought about what Mark Zuckerberg said. The sun was shining on him at this time, and the aura he emitted from thinking made it really hard to look away. Nihadoi, who was watching at this time, also secretly saw this scene, and suddenly her heart began to beat. She wanted to look away, but she couldn't help but look up again. Mizi, who was communicating with Xianshan, also saw it. Xianshan, who was playing games with Mizi, suddenly found that her sister suddenly stopped moving. Ignoring her words, she kept staring at her uncle's direction. She couldn't help but grab Mizi's clothes, and Mizi reacted with a blushing face. Zhou obviously saw the whole scene. She was stunned for a moment, but soon came to her senses. She touched the ring on her right hand involuntarily, looked in the direction of Zhou Jixi and complained, "What a troublemaker. I don't know how many girls he will harm in the future. It's a pity that my sister already has a fiancé. He is really attractive. It would be a good experience to try dating him." Zhou Jixi stayed there for a while and then returned to the previous position. After calling Xianshan, he asked Mizi to wait outside for a while and not to leave. Hearing this request, Mizi's face flashed a hint of surprise, but she was not too sure. So she walked outside a little nervously. When she walked to the door, she saw the anxious Niha, who looked at her calmly and walked over. When Nihadalvi saw Mizi's slightly happy face, her heart skipped a beat. And considering that she had stayed in there for a long time just now and had communicated with the child, she suddenly had a bad feeling, especially when she came in and saw Zhou Jixi also had yellow skin and black eyes. Her feeling became stronger and stronger. Racial discrimination? This is what she suddenly thought of, but it was not that serious, just giving the woman some care. Nihadalvi is. Zhou Jixi said. Niha nodded. "I'm really sorry, I just received a call and delayed your time." Zhou Jixi apologized to her. Looking at the Indian girl in front of him, Zhou Jixi had to sigh that sometimes this beauty is universal. Especially the face and chest. Of course, there is also temperament and cultivation. These make people like it. Zhou Jixi, who originally liked her a little, now likes this person even more. Nihadalvi looked at Zhou Jixi a little nervously. She was also stunned when she came in just now. In addition to the cute children, there is also a handsome father. Of course, this is not the main thing. The main thing is that this young rich man is too young. She also secretly gossiped that Zhou Jixi was pregnant before marriage, or even worse, he divorced his wife and needed a nanny. Her breasts are big, but the exact cup size remains to be explored. Without practice, you have no right to speak. Zhou Jixi always felt that this sentence was very correct, especially when it came to women's cup sizes. He thought, if a woman was willing to let him help prove it, then things would be great. You're accepted. Zhou Jixi suddenly said. Niha didn't react for a moment, just like she didn't react to Zhou Jixi's apology to her. This time she was really stunned and couldn't help but say, "What?" Zhou Jixi smiled, looked at her, and said it again without minding. "You're accepted. You have to come to this job. Miss Dalvi." Chapter 167. The nanny is here. Niha was surprised. "So you just recruited Zhou Jixi? What about the Asian woman outside? Did she also recruit? Are you kidding?" Niha was a little confused for a while, but she reacted quickly, thanked Zhou Jixi, and said that she would definitely do a good job. As for Mizi, as Niha guessed, she also recruited Zhou Jixi, and this time he hired 2 people. This is also what he had an idea. As a rich man, how can he not have a *** secretary or assistant? So in addition to taking care of Xianshan, Zhou Jixi also wants to find some assistants. Now it seems that the two are not bad, and the most important image meets his requirements. However, although both of them are top students, he has to try whether they are nanny materials or assistant materials. Of course, if they want to be special assistants, it doesn't matter whether they have talent or not. For this kind of woman, Zhou Jixi thinks that talentlessness is virtue. Great people have said that the more knowledgeable, the more reactionary. Zhou Jixi knows this sentence. Now that he has that mentality, he also remembers it in his heart. Zhou, who had just hired a nanny, hoped that they could start work as soon as possible so that he could relax a little, especially wiping shit and urine, which is really not what a man should do. Now there are 2 nannies for this child. The configuration should not be too luxurious. And the 2 of them didn't have anything to hire at this time and said that they could start work as soon as possible. Looking at the 2 people standing in front of him, Zhou couldn't help but feel proud exotic beauties. In the previous life, all he saw were pictures. Where is it like seeing real people standing in front of him now? After brewing for a while, he said, I believe you understand the content of your work. Yes, boss. Mizi and Neha nodded. Oh. Tell me. Zhou looked at Neha with a little interest, motioning her to tell him. In addition to taking care of Xianshan, we are also your backup assistants, to help you deal with some chores. Of course, for this part-time job, I will try my best to do it well, Neha said. Seeing that Neha had finished what she was going to say, Miko hurriedly nodded and said, Me too. Well, very good, a very clear understanding. I hope you will work hard in the future. I believe this is a good opportunity. I hope you can cherish it. So, it depends on your performance in the future. Okay, let's stop talking nonsense here. I can give you a salary of $800 a week now. I will consider the issue of salary increase based on your performance in the future. How about it? Is there any problem? Zhou said. Okay boss, I won't let you down. I'm very satisfied with this salary. I believe your money will not be wasted. Neha spoke first. Then Zhou looked at Miko. Me too, I will work hard. Miko said hurriedly and bowed to Zhou to express her feelings. Okay, then go to work tomorrow. I just need to deal with something. You can make reasonable arrangements. One will take care of Xianshan, and the other will follow me to get familiar with it. As soon as Zhou said this, he found that there was a flash of lightning in the eyes of the 2. He smiled indifferently and said, of course, I think you can choose to draw lots for the first time, and you can just take turns later. Okay, boss, the 2 said in unison. After Zhou finished speaking, he said that the 2 could leave and come back tomorrow after packing up. The 2 also said goodbye. The moment they walked out of the door, they almost couldn't help jumping up. Yeah, I succeeded. Miko was even more excited and took out her mobile phone to call her mother in Hokkaido. Mom, you will never believe it. I found a job with a weekly salary of $800. Mom. Okay, I believe our Miko is the best. Miko's mother also kept talking to Miko. For a while, a faint hot spring filled the air, and Neha was a little moved. Although she also wanted to call her family, she felt that it was not the right time yet. She wanted to tell her family about her joy after officially becoming Zhou's assistant. Instead of the part-time assistant now, she was actually not a nanny for a child. If she didn't have a good education, plus the company's recommendation and training, she wouldn't even have this opportunity. She could only eat bread and mineral water after graduating from school, live in a cheap shared apartment, or she could choose to go home and find a job at home. But she didn't want to live that kind of life. She wanted to stay here, where she could see the vastness of the world. She didn't want to go back, and even if she had to go back, she would go back after she was successful. She was the pride of her family, from childhood to adulthood, so she didn't want to go back and get married and have children. This is an opportunity, Neha, you have to work hard. Neha encouraged herself. She had just heard Zhou's speech and knew that he was a wealthy man and a shareholder of Apple. Therefore, there would be no shortage of opportunities in the future, and as long as she had work experience, it would be easy to find a job. Zhou obviously didn't know the excitement of the 2 girls. Although he had a dirty heart, he secretly thought of some inappropriate thoughts in his mind. But as a man, isn't this normal? Should we eat grass near our nest? Or should we eat? Afternoon after completing the recruitment, Zhou planned to go to the company to have a look. However, thinking that Zhou was also here and had only been with him for half a day today, he planned to go to lunch with her first. He chose a relatively famous restaurant in San Francisco, but it was full. Zhou had to go to another restaurant with Zhou. If you are not a member of a famous restaurant, you have to make an appointment. Zhou Jixi was a little helpless about this. It turned out that he did not have enough connections. Otherwise, he would not have to worry about not having a seat. If he chose any restaurant, he could go in immediately after making a phone call. In the restaurant, what? Didn't you invite your 2 babysitters to have lunch with you just now? Zhou picked a piece of beef and ate it. After chewing a few bites, he picked up the red wine and drank a little. Your thoughts are not very pure, Zhou Jixi also said while eating steak. It's not that my thoughts are not pure, but your actions have proved that your thoughts are not pure, Zhou said with a roll of his eyes. Zhou Jixi paused for a moment, pretending to be calm and taking another sip of red wine. He wiped his lips with a napkin and looked at Zhou seriously. Sister G, is what I did so obvious? Haha, what do you think? Brat, eat you. You can't eat steak enough, and you want to eat grass near your nest. You are a rabbit, Zhou said. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 168 Accident. Chapter 165 Originally, she was supposed to go to the game company in the afternoon, but because Zhou had something urgent to do, she was delayed for a day. Zhou Jixi accompanied her to the hospital. Zhou's mother was in a car accident. Fortunately, she was not injured, but only had a little skin scratch. Zhou Jixi stayed with her for an afternoon, and in the evening, the enthusiastic Zhou mother called her home for dinner. Seeing the old man so enthusiastic, Zhou Jixi couldn't refuse. In addition, Zhou Jixi had met Zhou's mother and Zhou's father when he was a child. So when the old man recognized Zhou Jixi, he couldn't refuse. Zhou's family, restaurant. The Zhou family has immigrated to the United States for a while, and the family has both Chinese and Western food. Today, because of Zhou Jixi's arrival, Zhou's father specially fried a few side dishes from his hometown and took out the rice wine he brewed. Zhou, come and have a drink. Uncle has been making this wine for a while, Zhou's father said to Zhou Jixi enthusiastically. Hey, okay, I'm lucky to taste the wine brewed by Uncle today. I will definitely taste it well. Zhou Jixi picked up a glass of wine and said to Zhou's father. It can be known from the chat that Zhou's father is a cultural subject, and he seems to be a university professor. Zhou Jixi did not ask in detail, and was busy drinking during the meal. The alcohol content of rice wine is not high, but it is not low either. Compared with white wine and beer, it is more nourishing to the stomach, and you won't have a headache after drinking it, but the taste is a little worse. It is actually similar to the cooking wine used for cooking, which refers to the cheap kind of wine. Of course, the good kind of rice wine is fragrant. The daughter red and huadio wine in martial arts novels are actually rice wine. Zhou Jixi accompanied Zhou's father to drink 2 or 3 catis, and his head was a little smoked. He was dazed and took out cigarettes and gave one to Zhou's father. The two of them started to smoke. Zhou rolled his eyes at the two of them and followed Zhou's mother to take care of Xianshan. By the way, he also cleaned up the table in the kitchen, took out some desserts, and poured a cup of tea for the two. Your father and him are chatting well, Zhou's mother said to Zhou while washing the dishes. Haha, Zhou just loves to chat and fool people. This kid is so smart. His father's skills are probably all for him to fool, Zhou said. How can anyone say that about their father and their boss? Zhou's mother said to Zhou with a smile. Forget about his father. This boss is just a little brat. When he was running around naked as a child, I should have known that he would be a disaster when he grows up, Zhou said indignantly. Oh, it's not his fault that he is handsome. I think this kid is destined to be a romantic. But this didn't happen to you. Why are you so anxious? Besides, he is still young, and it's the time when young people like to play. When I was doing research, I came into contact with many young people of this kind. Don't worry about this, Zhou's mother said with a smile. His sister and I are good sisters. Now I'm closest to him, and I feel like I'm his sister. How can I not worry about this? Zhou said anxiously. You are worrying too much. Okay, relax. I think the child is sensible. You are his employee now. From ancient times to the present, how can an employee manage the boss's affairs? Let's not talk about social ethics. It's him. I won't pay attention to you after watching him for a long time. Don't think that I'm a talkative mother. He is now. Zhou's mother, like other old people, followed Zhou and started to talk a lot. However, she is a professor of sociology, and her words are always meaningful, so Zhou can listen to her. When he went back at night, Zhou's father came out to send him off enthusiastically. But they were all drunk at this time. How could they drive someone off? Zhou was also confused, and he followed him to call him brother. Brother, don't send me off. I can go back alone. It's just a little bit of yellow urine. It's no problem to have another 3 pounds. Zhou's father also said something to Zhou, saying something that was not quite right. For a moment, the two women who followed behind were shocked. Zhou was so angry that he wanted to beat up Zhou. Now his sister has become his niece. Oh my god, it's outrageous. If Zhou's mother hadn't stopped her, Zhou would have been slapped. The two walked to the parking garage arm in arm and sang old revolutionary songs on the lawn outside. Passers-by looked at them sideways. Zhou was afraid that it would affect the neighbors and it would be troublesome for them to call the police. So he quickly took Zhou into the car and sent him back, and also brought Xianshan, who had forgotten Zhou. Zhou also explained to his family that he would not come at night. He was so drunk, and the child needed someone to take care of him. Zhou's mother also nodded in understanding and let Zhou send Zhou away. In the morning, Zhou woke up and found that he was already in the bed in the hotel. He looked around nervously and found that there was no one next to him, so he breathed a sigh of relief. It's a good thing I didn't bring back a woman. If she was a beauty, it would be fine. But if she was an ugly girl, I probably wouldn't have had an erection for several days. But recalling what happened that night, Zhou smiled bitterly. I guess if I see Sister G later, I'll be in trouble. I have a good memory of drinking. What happened yesterday? I'm so unlucky. Thinking of the sad part, Zhou couldn't help but roll himself into the quilt and rolled around on the bed. When Zhou was wailing in the quilt, 2 young nannies and intern assistants arrived at the Four Seasons Hotel on time. They also brought several packages of things in large and small boxes, as if they were coming to seek refuge with Zhou. Of course, this is almost like seeking refuge, because these were all explained to them yesterday. They may have to follow him for more than a month or 2 in the future. In addition to the rest time during the holidays every week, they either help Zhou with things or take care of Xianshan. And the holidays of the 2 are also rotated. Zhou doesn't want there to be a gap in the middle so that he has to do the job of wiping the butt again. After all, I'm also a billionaire. How can I wipe other people's butts? This is ridiculous. Too ridiculous. But Zhou didn't think about it. There are many billionaires, and there are many who wipe the butts of their children. Now Zhou is just like his horse, a little self-inflated in his heart. In layman's terms, it is proud. Of course, it's okay to be arrogant. After staying in bed for a while, Zhou got up and went to the bathroom. After closing the door, he slipped into the space. After a round of boxing and a soak in the river of vitality, Zhou came out refreshed. After exchanging a small goblin, Zhou opened his mouth, revealing his white teeth with remnants of last night's food. The small goblin shone a green light at him, and his teeth became white and shiny again. Sure enough, someone as smart as me can think of this green light can also clean teeth, sweeping away all the bacteria and residues. He will save the toothpaste and toothbrush in the future. Zhou narcissistically flashed his white teeth in the mirror and imitated the watermelon man in Naruto to turn sideways and give a thumbs up. Ah. Little goblin, there is a foreshadowing when we go to the Zhou family. Guess what? Chapter 169. Accident, continued. After tidying himself up, Zhou walked to the suite outside. As soon as he came out, he saw 2 little beauties sitting on the sofa. When they saw Zhou, they stood up immediately. It seemed that the 2 had been here for a while, and Xianshan was also beside them. When Zhao Jixi was not out, the two were teasing Xianshan to learn English. Xianshan also saw Zhao Jixi and called out crisply, "Uncle, uncle, the lazy bug is still lying in bed." Xianshan has been up for a while and has even had breakfast. The little girl proudly raised her little head and said to Zhao Jixi, "Uncle oh." The little girl learned a sentence so quickly. "Wow, you are great, Xianshan," Zhao Jixi said with a little surprise and joy. Although the little girl's words were not very standard, he was very happy to be able to say a whole sentence. Children, as long as they do a little good, can always make adults happy. Haha. Of course, Xianshan is the cutest and cutest, Xianshan said to Zhao Jixi with a proud look on her face. Zhao Jixi was even more surprised. This was a combination of Chinese and English, which meant that she had memorized the word and could clearly understand its meaning. It had only been a short time. Can children really learn everything quickly? I'm jealous. Zhao Jixi chatted with Xianshan for a while and then said to the two nannies, "You have done a good job. At least now I'm very satisfied. I hope you will keep it up." "Yes, boss," Mizi and Neha replied. "Very good. Get ready. Today is your first day. I hope you will have a good time. Pack up. We will leave soon." Zhao Jixi did not give them a chance to speak and walked towards the restaurant after he finished speaking. When he arrived at the restaurant, he saw Zhao Ji, who was looking at something on the computer, but when he saw Zhao Jixi coming, his eyes kept staring at him. Zhao Jixi's steps, which were about to approach, suddenly stopped. Zhao Jixi smiled awkwardly. "Sister Ji, what are you busy with? You work so hard. Anyone who is your boss would be so lucky." Then he touched his head and said, "Since you are busy, I won't disturb you from work." Haha. Zhao Jixi pretended to leave, and Zhao Ji shouted from behind, "Boss, I think you are lucky too." His tone was resentful, as if Zhao Jixi had really done something. "Oh my god, this is not working for me." Zhao Jixi suddenly felt like there were some sweat stains on his face, and quickly turned around to look at Zhao Ji and laughed. "Well, Sister Ji, I was wrong. Oh, no, it was my uncle who asked me to drink. How could I know that I would be like that when I was drunk?" "Oh, you still think you are wronged?" Zhao Ji said angrily. "Of course. Besides, my uncle has admitted my way of calling him." Seeing that Zhao Ji was about to resort to violence, Zhao Jixi quickly continued, "Don't have that expression on your face. After all, I'm your uncle's brother. Give me some face. Now I'm your uncle too. Ouch. Don't slap me in the face. You have to see people today. I'm going to beat you to death, you little bastard. You're my boss, and you still want to be my uncle. If I don't show my power, do you really think I'm your aunt?" Zhao Ji said as he threw another punch. This time, he was provoked by Zhao Jixi and didn't care about the boss. He just wanted to teach this bastard a lesson. Game company. Zhao Jixi was walking on the way to the office. From time to time, he could see employees staring at him. If it were normal, he would definitely think that he was handsome again, that the space was showing its power, and that he was the most handsome guy in the universe. The rate of turning back would be very high. Unfortunately, at this moment, he couldn't think of himself as handsome again. At this time, in addition to some bruises around his eyes, there were 2 nail scratches on his mouth. He was originally joking with Zhao Jian, and the two of them were playing around as usual. Who knew that, once this person's character was ruined, the result would be very tragic. Zhao Jixi was playing around, and was accidentally hit by a wall pendant. It is said that with his sharp 5 senses and a little bit of 6th sense, how could such a thing happen? In fact, it was also Zhao Ji's fault. It was originally going to hit Zhao Ji, but Zhao Jixi took the hit for her heroically. After Zhao Ji reacted, he instinctively wanted to catch it to prevent it from hitting Zhao Jixi, but he used too much force and the angle was wrong. Not only did he fail to catch the object, but his 2 longer nails also dug into Zhao Jixi's face. So Zhao Jixi was completely unlucky. When Zhao Ji was applying ointment on him, he couldn't help but sigh. The debt of February has to be paid quickly. I'm so unlucky that I can get hurt even when saving people. Zhao Ji looked at him with amusement and pressed his wound hard, causing him to scream in pain. In the conference room, Zhao Jixi sat in the main seat, with Andy and Zhao Ji sitting next to him respectively. Sitting below were the heads of various departments, and there was also a leader of the game group. Zhou's assistant sat on a small stool next to him, observing the company's senior staff with a little excitement. Andy sat next to him with a frown, and Zhou could see his weird face even with his eyes squinting, not to mention the supervisors sitting below. Everyone was trying not to laugh, and their faces were a little red. Of course, except for a few black employees. Zhou also thought they were black when he saw the red ones. Ahem. Don't hold it back, laugh quickly if you want to laugh, otherwise you will hurt your body and have to go to the insurance company. After Zhou finished speaking leisurely, he looked at his subordinates quietly. The group of people recognized it for a while at first, and then burst into laughter collectively. Ha 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 ha. Boss, what's wrong with you? Andy couldn't laugh anymore, so he thought about gossiping about Zhou so as to add a little smile to his recent boredom. Humph, go ask Zhou when you have time, she knows the inside story best. Zhou gritted his teeth. After watching them laugh for a while, Zhou said, okay, everyone has laughed enough, be quiet, and prepare for the meeting now. Okay, boss. Everyone responded quickly. Andy, you said that the fruit swordsman has been completed, you can take it out now, and see how it works. Zhou said to Andy, but his eyes were on the employees. Chapter 170 Game Opinions. At this time, everyone in the conference room was silent. There was only the sound of games and the sound of Zhou playing games. Sure. And the sound of Pa. But who knew that he was pretending to be relaxed, but he was nervous to death. The boss paid as much attention to this project as the bird, and the ideas were all his. If he did something different from what he thought, he would be in trouble. Now there are many people watching his position. If he makes a mistake, he will basically be fired. It is not easy to find a good job these days. Now there are 2 children to support at home. If he doesn't work harder, he won't be able to earn enough money for his children to go to college in the future. Zhou breathed a sigh of relief and took a sip of coffee on the table. He looked up at everyone, especially the heads of the fruit development team. Seeing their anxious expressions, Zhou couldn't help but feel happy. It's really good to have people live and die because of you. Zhou now understands why talent shows always like to create a tense atmosphere. Zhou drank coffee, but didn't say anything, which made several people anxious. One by one, they either scratched their ears or wiped the sweat off their faces. Haha. Very nervous. Zhou looked at them and said with a smile. As soon as this was said, everyone saw the embarrassing look on the fruit swordsman development team's face, and they couldn't help but laugh. The atmosphere in the conference room became much more relaxed. Boss, you better speak quickly, or Carls will have a heart attack. The one who said this was of course Zhou. The person who had the best personal relationship with Zhou in the company was of course Zhou, so she was the one who started it. Haha. Look how nervous you are. Okay, I won't keep you in suspense. Carls, your development team has done a good job, but I still have a small complaint. We can cut the bomb, but the bomb didn't explode. Sometimes we almost cut the fruit, but the fruit automatically cracked. I think the actual detonation area of the bomb is deliberately made smaller than the visual area, and the detonation area of the fruit is made larger than the visual area, so that users can often have surprises and have more fun playing. Also, in the arcade mode, there will be some bananas that can play special roles, such as delaying time, doubling points, etc. Whether you can get a high score depends largely on the number of bananas that appear in a game. What I want is a design where the better the user plays, the greater the chance of bananas appearing, which can help users create higher scores. And if the user doesn't play very well, it will increase the chance of bombs appearing. This will make users feel that it's not that they play badly, but that there are too many bombs. Zhou said seriously, and then knocked on the table and said, if a user feels that he can't play a game well, he will probably never play it again. So simple and fast games are a must. Zhou talked about some details that he had forgotten and didn't write down before. Now it's just right to say them out. Not only can it improve the game, but it can also show off. Seeing everyone's thoughtful look, Zhou felt really good. Did Carls write it down? Zhao Jixi said to Carls, who was in a daze. Ah. I wrote it down. Boss, what you said is great. Don't flatter me. I told you about the good stuff a long time ago. These are just some details to supplement. I'm also very satisfied with your current product. It can be put on the market after some modifications. And he will be responsible for the specific arrangements. Zhao Jixi said with a smile, and Cowles blushed a little. Okay, boss, we have arranged these, and some advertising and publicity have also been arranged. With such a good game, it will definitely make our company famous. Andy said at his seat. Well, you guys take care of that. After that, Zhao Jixi said to several development team leaders, in the future, it is also very important for our games to reduce the cost for users to restart the game. Our Fruit Ninja can quickly enter a new game after a round ends and only needs to draw again. This is very good, and I feel very comfortable playing it. Okay, boss. The development team leaders all said in unison. Zhao Jixi stayed in the game company for an afternoon, visited several development teams, and talked to them about their ideas. He is still the creative director, so he has to exert his strength to live up to this title. He looked at Angry Birds, and the progress is very fast now. It is believed that it will be listed on the App Store in a month. By then, relying on the success of Fruit Ninja, I believe that Angry Birds will win more attention. By that time, the most successful mobile games in the past few years will basically come from his own company. I believe that the achievements made in the future will definitely not be lower than those of the original company of Angry Birds. You have to know that in the previous life, these two games brought a lot of profits to their respective companies. Later, the Kotorehara company was worth more than $1 billion. Zhao Jixi left with everyone. When it was time to get off work, he asked Mizi and Niha to take Xianshan back to the hotel first. Zhao Jixi invited several department heads of the company to have dinner together. He wanted to get in touch with them. After all, he didn't come to the company often, so most people had only met Zhao Jixi a few times during recruitment, and then he didn't meet Zhao Jixi. After having dinner with a few people, he was considered familiar with them, but the effect was average. Both sides wanted to deepen their relationship better. In the United States, the popular way of communication is not eating, but parties and cocktail parties. Eating and the like is not a good way to communicate and deepen the relationship between employees. Zhao Jixi only found out later. Now he will use the Chinese method. After the meal, Zhao Jixi thought that Xianshan would be taken care of by someone. It was not a big deal whether he would go back at night or go back later. He couldn't help but make a little calculation in his mind. Should we call a few more call girls? I haven't had that lately. It's not good for your health to hold it in. Chapter 171. *** and unexpected phone call. Chapter 171. At night, Zhao Jixi was lying among a pile of women, and their faces were flushed after exercise. Zhao Jixi took a wrapped big one, put it in his mouth, and took a few puffs, and the woman next to him took it. The 3 or 4 people on the bed took turns smoking. What a decadent and beautiful picture. Hey boy, your cigarette is really strong. Is it a special formula? A naked gypsy woman took another deep puff and asked Zhao Jixi with blurred eyes. Zhao Jixi patted her plump buttocks, and her plump buttocks immediately rippled. Woman, this is an exclusive formula, and I spent a lot of money to buy it. Do you feel good? Zhao Jixi teased and reached out to her paradise again. Of course, Zhao Jixi would not tell them that this was cultivated by him. He bought some seeds and put them in the space, asking the little fairy to transform and cultivate a new variety. This thing is not only not as strong as the original one, but also not harmful to the body, but also has some benefits of removing toxins from the body. Zhao Jixi plans to transform it into a cigar or material in the future, which will not only attract people, but also sell at a high price. Of course, this is just an idea, and it is still lingering in his mind for the time being. When the time is right, he will take it out and plant it openly. But at that time, of course it will not be called Damar. It must be changed, or it must be hybridized. In short, no one can find out that this guy has anything to do with Damar. At this moment, a woman with oily black skin also took the cigarette from the gypsy woman. She took another puff with great enjoyment. Boy, I have to say, today is my lucky day. Not only is this cigarette good to smoke, but I also like your big cigar very much. Boy, you conquered me. Haha, beautiful girl, don't just focus on the small cigarette, there is a big cigar waiting for you below. Zhao Jixi took the black girl's cigarette, put it in his mouth, and took a few puffs, and grabbed her head with his right hand, motioning her to move down. The black girl smiled, showing a row of white teeth, and pulled her hair behind her in a charming way. She lowered her head and smoked Zhao Jixi's big cigar and deep-throated him all at once, and Zhao Jixi couldn't help but exclaimed wow. As expected, black people's big mouths are really not in vain. These two lips are so cool. Zhao Jixi raised his head and sighed in the Chinese language. The Indian girl on the other side also used her unique tight body to cling to Zhao Jixi. Zhao Jixi excitedly grabbed her elastic peak. The Indian girl then kissed Zhao Jixi's sensitive neck. Wow, as expected, what is national is global, it's really too exciting. Zhao Jixi was so excited that he couldn't help but lift his cigar, causing the black girl to cough. Zhao Jixi couldn't help but turn over the gypsy woman and enter her body from behind. Sound. The next day, Zhao Jixi woke up early and saw a bunch of tempting pictures. When he opened his eyes, the fresh and pleasant smell of meat was mixed with the smell of high-end perfume. A luxurious atmosphere filled the air. Zhao Jixi licked his tongue, but finally shook his head and went to the bathroom alone. After closing the door and adding a layer of insurance, he filled a large bathtub with water. After lying in it and soaking for a while, Zhao Jixi flashed into the space and went to soak in the river of vitality. The amount of exercise last night was not light, and now it would be unbearable if he didn't soak his waist. As usual, when the letter came, Zhao Jixi was refreshed again. After punching once, Zhao Jixi left the space. He pretended to soak in the bathtub for a while, until the woman outside the door called. Zhao Jixi walked over to open the door. After packing himself up, Zhao Jixi gave a few people another envelope. This was given by the outsider. Zhao Jixi still liked their passionate service, so he gave some more. The women took it without refusing, and kissed Zhao Jixi on the face sweetly. Well, Zhao Jixi had a few more lip marks when he left. He wiped the lipstick marks with a wry smile, and walked towards the top floor suite where he lived. Zhao Jixi also booked a room at the Four Seasons Hotel, but not on the floor where he lived, but on another floor. Of course, he was not afraid of running into Mako and the others. Some high-end suites at the Four Seasons Hotel have private elevators and passages on each floor, so there is no need to be careful about these. Zhao Jixi walked into the private elevator and planned to take the elevator to his floor after going downstairs. But after a while, the phone in his pocket rang. Oh my god, is Xianshan going to look for me in one night? Or is it Sister Ji who is here? Zhao Jixi muttered, picked up the phone, and looked at it. He answered it with a slight roar. Hi, Oppa, hello. A sweet voice came out. Hello to you too. Zhao Jixi was surprised that Yuna would call him. It seemed to be around 6 o'clock in Korea at this time. She called me at such a private time. I didn't seem to know her that well, and we hadn't met many times. Oppa, is it presumptuous of me to call you? Yuna said cautiously, as if she was afraid of causing Zhao Jixi's displeasure. Haha, how could that be? I'm honored to have the beautiful Yuna call me. Zhao Jixi said with a bright laugh. Really? Of course, you call me Oppa, how could I think you're presumptuous? Haha, what do you want? Zhao Jixi asked. Yuna was about to say something, and Zhao Jixi heard a voice urging from her side. Yunaxi, you better hurry up, our time is limited. A boy's voice. Yes, yes. Several female voices. Please stop arguing. We are recording a program. What's going on like this? Ridiculous. Another voice of persuasion came out. Yeah, Yuna is still greeting this senior. Don't wipe your mouth. Zhao Jixi seemed to understand a little bit after hearing this. It seemed that Lin Yuna was recording some program and called him to ask for help. Is it some quiz, or is there any chance to call for help? Zhao Jixi thought secretly in his heart. After Zhao Jixi waited for a while, the other side gradually became quiet. At this time, Yuna's voice came again. I'm sorry Oppa, I really took up your time. Chapter 170 to helping Yuna. It's okay. I'm fine now. You've worked hard. You have to rush to make an announcement at this time. You should take care of your health. Girls shouldn't work too hard. Zhou Jixi said slowly, and the concern in his tone was very heartwarming. Thank you, Oppa. I'll pay attention. Yuna said in thanks. After a pause, she continued, Oppa, I'm recording a program now. Now is the question time. The director gave me one opportunity to ask for help inside the venue, and one opportunity to ask for help outside the venue. I'm really calling you now. I hope you can help me. Yuna said cutely. Oh, it's really what I guessed. Zhou Jixi guessed the situation, and he was a little proud in his heart. Oh, if Yuna thinks I can help you, it's Milena. Zhou Jixi said with a smile. Yes, Oppa is the most powerful person I have ever met. Yuna quickly flattered him, but what she said was the truth. Some time ago, after knowing that Zhou Jixi was a shareholder of Facebook, and the value of Facebook in the media was still growing, so Zhou Jixi seemed more and more powerful in Yuna's eyes. This was an Oppa she knew, and he was an Oppa with countless Korean one. So Yuna felt that Zhou Jixi was really amazing. So, when she had this kind of problem that relied on brain power and knowledge, she thought about it for a long time and wanted to find a powerful person to help her. After thinking about it, Zhou Jixi's shadow appeared in her mind. This Oppa was the most powerful one she knew among her limited network of contacts. And he was also the most easygoing, the best tempered, and the best to girls. The perfect Oppa. Although the little girl had been in contact with the entertainment industry for a long time, she had also learned a lot from what she saw and heard, so she was much more mature than her peers in her thinking. These thoughts appeared in her subconscious unconsciously, and she subconsciously wanted to communicate more with Zhou Jixi. That's how this phone call came about. After hearing what Yuna said, Jay Chou was also a little proud. He was flattering a little beauty. Although his flattery was immature, he felt very comfortable. So he smiled and said, haha. Since Yuna believes in me, then tell me. I'll see if I can help you. Yeah, thank you, Oppa. Yuna shouted happily. Is it okay for her to talk for so long? One person asked in doubt. The staff next to him looked at him with strange eyes. One of them slowly said, don't you know there is also the matter of editing? The others also looked defeated. The man touched his head awkwardly, paused, and bowed quickly, saying, sorry senior, I'm new here, it's really rude. Well, it's good to know. Just watch more, learn more, and talk less in the future. Okay, go and do things, otherwise you won't even have the opportunity to intern in the future. At the program recording station, Yuna was jumping happily, and Jay Chou was waiting for her to ask questions. He quickly covered the microphone of his mobile phone and quietly called a waiter to come over, asking him to find a place with a computer, and when he spoke, the waiter began to erase the data. Although there is no beta in the United States, they have Google, and they can erase anything they want. Zhou Jixi is not as confident in himself as Yuna is in him, so he thought of a tricky way, which can not only hit her, but also save himself from losing face, and most importantly, it can also show that he is powerful. Okay, Oppa, I'm going to ask the first question. Listen carefully. The first question, why do things in the distance look small, but things close look big? Yuna said, and after she finished speaking, she shouted fighting to Zhou Jixi. Well, wait a minute. Zhou Jixi quickly repeated the question she asked, signaling the waiter to find it quickly. After a while, Yuna kept looking at the timer while waiting, and when the stopwatch ran for 20 seconds, Zhou Jixi spoke. It's very simple. Listen, Yuna. We can see objects not because our eyes emit light, but because the light emitted by the object or reflected by the object enters our eyes, stimulating our optic nerves to see. So the closer the object is to us, the more light it emits or reflects into our eyes, and our eyes are a highly precise convex lens, so the image formed on the retina is larger, and the object we see is larger. On the contrary, the farther the object is from us, the less light it emits or reflects into our eyes, and the smaller the image formed on the retina is, so the object we see is smaller. Zhou Jixi said to the phone. Yuna's phone was on speakerphone, and when he put the microphone next to the receiver, Zhou Jixi's words spread throughout the studio. When Zhou Jixi finished speaking, Yuna looked at the host with hopeful eyes, waiting for him to say whether the answer was correct. Okay, what this gentleman said is very correct, and it is also very complete, so this question is correct. The host did not disappoint Yuna's eyes, and said something that made her happy. At this moment, she also admired Zhou. She had been thinking about this question for a long time, and didn't know what it meant. Zhou thought about it for a while, and figured it out. It was really amazing. Little did she know that Zhou was giving a thumbs up to the waiter at this time. He looked at the waiter in front of the computer with a smile on his face, and the waiter also had a smile on his face, because he saw Zhou's happy smile on his face, and he knew that his tip would not be small. Yeah, Oppa, you are great. I admire you so much. Yuna shouted excitedly. Me too, Yuna. Please introduce this Oppa to me, sister. I like his smart brain so much. A comedian said to Yuna. Of course, this can't be taken seriously. People say that for the effect of the show. And if this is true, if Zhou doesn't vomit, then Yuna will definitely vomit when she thinks about the two of them sticking together. Korean comedians, except for singers or movie stars who later changed to hosts, look better. The others all look sorry for humans, but think about this, it's the genes of Koreans. Yuna was very excited about the smooth pass of the first question, and then said to Zhou confidently, Oppa, now the second question. There is a soft ladder hanging on the side of the boat, 2 meters above the sea surface. The seawater rises half a meter every hour. How many hours will it take for the seawater to submerge the soft ladder? It won't be submerged, because the water level rises. Zhou said calmly. This question is obviously very simple, so he didn't need to check it, and answered it by himself. The answer is correct, the host said, and then turned to the others and said, I was wondering why the PC would come up with such a simple question. I can figure this out if I think about it. But, of course, the guy who saw the answer can make sarcastic remarks. Chapter 172 The Strange Old Lady. Then Zhou answered several questions in succession, some of which were his own thoughts and some were found on the computer. In short, he answered all the questions correctly, and the studio was filled with exclamations and words of admiration. Yuna also held her phone with stars in her eyes. After Zhou finished answering, the atmosphere in the studio also pushed him to a climax. Everyone was also impressed by Zhou's insights and knowledge. Wow. It's really amazing. This person's knowledge is so broad that I suddenly feel inferior, the host said with pretended sadness. Haha, you finally have self-knowledge now. The person next to him immediately stimulated. Hey, what self-knowledge do I have? Don't tell me that I didn't have it before. The two hosts started to talk funny, further enhancing the joyful atmosphere. This is a comedy show, not a knowledge quiz show. Oppa, you are so great, thank you so much. Seeing that all the questions were correct, Yuna's admiration for Zhou really overflowed. Within a few minutes, she said a lot of compliments and admiration, and most of them were repetitive. Although she was a little beauty, Zhou got tired of listening to her for a long time. Haha, I'm not very great, I just like to read some books. So I know a little bit about most things. They are all superficial, not worth mentioning. Haha, Zhou said modestly. After all, the countries where the two of them lived were deeply influenced by Confucian culture. The more humble the better, otherwise it would be bad to show off. So necessary humility is still necessary, and it will also gain the favor of others. Oppa is really humble. He is really a perfect good man. Yuna was still thinking about it in a crazy way, but Zhou's cough made her recover quickly. Then she remembered that she was still recording, and this was not a good time to chat and be polite. So Yuna talked to Zhou in a hurry, and after saying that she would call him back later, she thanked him and hung up the phone. Zhou could only smile bitterly. This girl, how come her personality is so different from her appearance? She looks like a lady in vain. What a pity. However, despite this, the smile on Zhou's mouth could not be concealed. It seems that my hook has caught fish again. Zhou was so happy that he gave several tips to the waiter who helped him a lot. He didn't count the amount carefully. Anyway, Zhou would almost always see this guy when he came to the Four Seasons Hotel in the future, and he would always find ways to get close to him and serve him. Jay Chou could only sigh that there was another person who waited for the rabbit in the tree in the world. With a bad taste, he certainly didn't have the mood to educate this person. Jay Chou was in a happy mood, whistling softly, and walked towards the room with a brisk pace. Ding, the elevator opened. A magical picture appeared in front of Zhao Jixi. There were actually several people in this dually elevator. Damn, this is certainly not a big deal, but several old men and an old lady are in it together, but it's not surprising. However, the most damning thing is that these strong men are actually lying on the floor of the elevator. One by one, they are still groaning and gasping for air. Anyway, none of them can get up. The old lady stood calmly in the middle. Seeing Zhao Jixi was stunned for a moment, but she still smiled at him with temperament. She walked out leisurely, and soon a few strong men in suits came. Before he could say anything, he went in and handcuffed these people first. One of them looked at Zhao Jixi with suspicion. At this moment, the manager of the hotel ran over quickly. Yes, he ran over. He didn't even have time to wipe the sweat off his head. He quickly stopped these people. Hello, police chief, this is an important guest of our hotel. Please don't disturb him, the manager said breathlessly. In the morning, the hotel received the cooperation document signed by the mayor and the federal director. At that time, the hotel cooperated with the FBI to start defense. The hotel also cooperated quietly, but asked the police not to affect them as much as possible. Otherwise, they would not let those who spent their taxes have a good life. So both parties also hope to arrest quietly. Of course, who is to be arrested? Except for the FBI, the hotel is not clear about what is going on. At this time, the senior police also arrived at the scene. After listening to the manager's opinion, they soon came to Zhao Jixi. The man came over and shook Zhao Jixi's hand enthusiastically and said a few words of apology. Zhao Jixi knew at a glance that he was a politician. Although Zhao Jixi did not say anything, from the hotel and Zhao Jixi's dress, he knew that this person was not a small role. So as a politician, he wisely chose to have friendly exchanges with Zhao Jixi. He never used a cold face-to-face things that could be solved with a smile. Such people are destined to be on the bench for life. Zhao Jixi also reacted at this moment. Although he was not very clear about who this person was, he didn't hit a smiling person. Zhao Jixi also laughed and said that it was no problem. The police were also for the safety of the people. The two chatted well for a while. Just at this time, Zhao Jixi's mobile phone rang again. He took it out and saw that it was Huang Duling who called. At this time, he knew that Zhao Jixi was in the hotel and was waiting for him in the lobby. The hotel would not disclose the room number of customers at will. So he called Zhao Jixi and asked him to call the counter to talk. Zhao Jixi happened to have almost finished talking with the person in charge of the police, so he asked him to wait and go down to find him. Huang Duling also said that it was okay and hung up the phone. Zhao Jixi was about to talk to the person in charge of the police when the phone rang again. This time it was Mark Zuckerberg calling. Damn, why did it happen at this time? Zhao Jixi muttered and picked up the phone again. Hey, Jess, I'm at the Four Seasons Hotel. Come down and pick me up. Shit, this waiter is fucking. Mark said a bunch of nonsense, and it can be seen that he seemed to be in a bad mood. Dude, okay, I got it. Shit, you are talking a lot of nonsense now. Wait a minute, I will be down soon. Zhao Jixi said without any courtesy. Sorry, my friend is here. Zhao Jixi said. It's okay, I just happen to have something to deal with, and I'm happy to meet you. And my name is Mark. This guy in his 30s or 40s, wearing a well-tailored suit, said to Zhao Jixi. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.